It's hella good.
When there's no more room in hell.
The dead will start a podcast.
You eyeballing me, boy? Do you want it?
Yeah.
Do you need it?
Yeah.
Well, if you had it, would you pawn it?
Hell yeah.
Then it's yours.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to No More Room in Hell number 46. This is Mike, and joining me as always, it's Mr. Venom. What's up, Venom?
Greetings and salutations, horror lovers. Now, I usually have a more specialized greeting, but based on our two movies this week, I have no idea what the common theme is. So I'm going to let Derek, since they're Derek's picks, I'm going to let him talk about why he picked them and what the themes are. But yeah, I'm just going to go with the generic intro this week. Anyway, how the fuck are you, Mike? I'm doing pretty well.
Doing well, just getting through a stretch of like 6 days in a row of 100 degrees of weather.
I know, I loved it.
The AC's been working OT. Like,
Oh, man, it was 101 today, and I went for a walk this morning in 101 weather. Oh, God, it was amazing. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm so, for those who don't know, I'm one of those weirdos who actually likes the heat. And I'm a fat guy, too. And trust me, fat guys don't like to sweat, but I love the heat. I just absolutely adore it. I lived in Phoenix for 2 years, 110, 15-degree weather every single day, year-round. And I fucking loved every minute of it. And I may go back. The plan, there still potentially might be a plan for me to go back to Phoenix. But for now, LA is home, and I wish it was hotter.
The last time I was in Arizona, I think I was around the Phoenix area in December, and it was like 92.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, Christmas in the desert. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny you brought up walking, because I usually take like 2 to 3 walks a week before work, and usually no matter how hot it's going to be during the day, it'll still, at least you'll have like that breeze in the morning. But once it gets to like 100 degrees or higher, even when I go to take my walks at like 6 in the morning, it's not hot, but it has that kind of difference in the weather where you're like, yeah, there's no morning chill or anything, so it's going to be a hot as hell day. But I had to skip my walks like this past week and a half, because the other week I stubbed my middle toe so bad I thought I broke my toe, but I think it was just like severe bruising and stuff. So just your talk of taking a walk made me remember that, like, yeah, I haven't been going on my walks this week because of that shit.
You lazy.
It's still feel. I'm gonna attempt. My alarm's set for tomorrow before work to at least attempt to try. It's weird because when I'm barefoot, it's okay, but like once you start putting on socks and shoes where like everything tightens up, that's like when you can feel. I can feel you. I meant me. That's when I can feel it more. So we'll see. It's definitely, the pain is gone away a lot in the past week. So hopefully when I wake up tomorrow, I'll be good. But enough of my medical issues. Also joining us as always, it's Derek. What's up, Derek? How are you?
Never tell those kind of stories before my introduction again. Wait till after. Okay, Michael?
Giving him Vietnam flashbacks or something?
Yeah. I got my foot
flashbacks.
I got my foot ran over by a reach truck, so I don't want to hear any bitching.
Ow.
15 stitches. Lost 2 toenails.
Ouch.
Wow.
One toe looks like a mushroom.
I'm trying not to laugh, sorry.
The closest I've come to that is when I had a paper out. My dad used to drive, and one time like the rear driver's side tire got like halfway onto my foot, and then he like switched direction, but even just like the halfway up on the foot, it hurt like hell. Like, that was not pleasant, and I'm surprised it didn't break my foot, but it did not. So yeah, we're back. We're back after what, I I think a couple postponements.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
I had
so
one.
I'm like,
You had one. You had one. It's all our.
I think we all had one. Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking over like my familiar show notes. Like, yeah, some of the stuff isn't even topic worthy anymore. So once we get to the different segments of the show, we'll kind of figure it out. But something that I guess is a timeless aspect of the show is what we've been watching, because there's really no timestamp on that as long as we remember enough to bring it up. So we'll get into that usual start of the show now, I guess, and kick it to Venom for the first round of what we watched. So what do you got for us, Venom?
All right. Well, my first movie for the episode of what we've been watching is going to be Mr. Venom's Pick of the Month. I absolutely love this film. Now, this is actually a documentary, and I am a huge fan of documentaries. And I am also a huge fan of found footage. Now, I know found footage is a very polarizing subgenre of horror. It seems like you either love it or you hate it. Very few people are lukewarm on it. I myself absolutely adore the subgenre. I think the level of immersion that you get from found footage is second to none. So, of course, the film that I'm talking about this week is The Found Footage Phenomenon. This dropped on Shudder late last year, I believe. I am a little late to the party on this one, as generally at the end of every year, that's when I'm trying to get as many new horror watches in. So I tend not to spend too much time with documentaries and, true stories, things like that. So, just to get to my fictional horror. So this is one that I just discovered recently. And yeah, folks, I can say that I really, really like this documentary. If you are not a fan of found footage, there is no reason for you to watch this documentary. So please don't watch it and say that it's garbage just because you don't like the subgenre. It is a very much above average documentary. It's not a be all end all. It's not, if you're as hardcore a found footage fan as I am, you're not really going to learn a whole lot, with all the research and everything else that I do with the films that I love. Not really a whole lot I'm going to learn from a, hour and 40-minute documentary that was, on a still fairly new subgenre of horror. So, but I will say that if you're a layman, if you're someone who's just discovering found footage, this is a great history lesson going all the way back to 1960 with stuff like Peeping Tom and of course, the greats of Cannibal Holocaust and Blair Witch Project, and the list goes on and on. So like I said, if you're a fan of the subgenre, I highly recommend The Found Footage Phenomenon. If you are not a fan of found footage, there's just no reason to watch this. So check it out if you're a fan. I myself loved it, and I do recommend this to fans. And either of you guys check this out yet?
I have not.
I did, and to your point that it's not the end all be all as in like going in depth on like every single movie they feature. I actually think it made a pretty good candidate for me watching it kind of while I was working, because it's like they give just enough information and background on the genre and different aspects of it, and really different pivot points in it. When it's like, okay, for a certain while, this movie might have been the standard bearer for found footage, where a decade later, this one kind of redefined what you could do with it. So it's like I could kind of work while I was listening to it. A lot of familiar movies, I think you're correct in saying that found footage, other than like the vast amount of like micro budget found footage movies that show up on all sorts of VOD services that no one has time to watch, I would say the majority on here are featured in this documentary. You don't really have to necessarily be like a deep diver into the genre. So I would say even if you're not like the biggest found footage fan, if you just are down to hear just horror in general talked about and some movies gone over, I would still say it's worth your time. Now, granted, I agree with Venom. You're probably not going to enjoy it as much as you would like a documentary on a different genre or just horror in general, but I still think there is value in this one. But yeah, I agree. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was pretty well done. Like Shudder, I got to say, I wish they had more original content, but between like stuff like this and Curse Films, I think what they are able to produce, they usually do a pretty good job.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we'll move on over to. All right, were you done talking about Venom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll move right over to Derek. So, what do you got first up?
Yeah, I went to the movies and I saw. I actually was supposed to be on Fresh Cuts for this, but I don't know what the fuck happened. Maybe I was just fucking tired or drunk. I forget. But I saw the movie Men. That I wanted to talk about. It was on my mind for the longest time, And yeah, directed and written by Alex Garland, who did like Ex Machina and Annihilation. This is his third feature. He wrote 28 Days Later as well. Men, what a fucking weird movie, man. I really like the main dude who plays all the men in it. It's fucking weird, especially the little version of him.
Mm-hmm.
There's some weird things. It's a very slow burn movie. It has something I like though. It kind of reminded me of Ben Wheatley's In the Earth with some of the atmosphere of the forest scenes. And then when she's just a little it's got like a little folk horror in it, especially with like some of the symbolism. And when she walks in the church, it's like the church from Rawhead Rex just has happened to be in this town all of a sudden. But I like the metaphors that the movie brings. It's a very slow burn though. Even like near the end, I was kind of like leaning into myself where it was very, maybe it was just I had to be in the mood to watch this, and the theater might have not been the best bet for it. And that explanation, especially with some comfy seats, because I did get like the recliner, and I was like, I think I did kind of like shut my eyes for like 3 seconds in the movie, but it's not the movie's fault. It's just the way that the story's told, and man, that fucking ending's so weird. But I liked it. I know you guys saw it.
Oh yeah, we saw it. We reviewed it. Pretty sure. Well, Mike and I at least gave it positive reviews. I know Don wasn't real happy with, the toxic masculinity undertone of the entire thing, and also it wasn't really nearly as action-packed as he would have liked. He did like it. It seems like the consensus is everybody seems to like that final scene. It's just crazy enough and body horror enough that it's it's shocking and entertaining all at once. I absolutely love the film. Yeah, I thought this was a great metaphor. I thought that the way that they introduce all the different elements of the toxic masculinity thing, like all the different types, how each guy in the town represented a different type of toxic masculinity. I thought that was really well done. And even like the order of let's just say the births at the end, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say the births at the end of the movie, even the order of the births have a lot to say about what the main character is going through, both with their husband and the men of this town. So I love the movie. It's a beautiful allegory. I love the message. Yeah, I just overall, I really, really enjoyed it. One of my favorites of the year.
Yeah.
I want to say that while I assume Don wasn't championing the movie, I want to say I remember him being like somewhat fair, because after I saw even going into it, I was like, this probably isn't going to be a Don movie, but I could be surprised. Coming out of it, I was like, okay, definitely I don't think it's a Don movie, but I could be surprised. Mm-hmm. And then during the episode, I was like, I expected him, or I assumed he would dislike it a lot more, but he seemed pretty like even or neutral on it. Probably not like a top movie for him, but he wasn't like overly harsh about it. It more came off as just not his thing.
Right. I kind of remember him being a little bit more negative on it. Like I remember him specifically saying that once he figured out what was happening, that he kind of checked out. Like, once he realized what the messaging of the movie was, that he just kind of lost interest or whatever, and that it just became kind of browbeating. Because if you figure out early enough in the film what the movie is about, then the next hour of plus of the film could seem pandering, heavy-handed, whatever the case may be. But for whatever it's worth, I thought it was incredibly well done. It's now my favorite Alex Garland movie. I just love it.
That's because like it's weird because I didn't even think the movie was trying to be sly or sleuthy about like what it was trying to be about anyway. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear from
hell, even if you saw a trailer
fairly early on.
even if you just saw a trailer, I mean, you're gonna know what the movie is about going in. I mean, you can't misconstrue that trailer.
Even just the setup of the story, like why she's going out to the farmhouse or whatever you would call it, and just getting away from it all. It seemed like it was gonna lead that way. But I do agree, like the performance by the lead actor playing all the parts, other than the superimposed face on the kid that looked a little goofy.
Yeah, that was like some Captain America shit right there.
That was some uncanny valley shit right there.
Yeah. But I did like it. I liked how they depicted how interactions go, and kind of like the passive aggressive nature. Sometimes it's not necessarily just the person that wants to commit a literal crime against you. There's other ways that these interactions go down that aren't very friendly to women. But, without like relitigating the whole movie, I'll just say, I liked it a lot and would not be surprised if it ends up on my top 10.
Now I just want to see a crossover Men versus Lamb.
Versus Lamb?
Yeah, the movie Lamb.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
The dad shows up.
Holy shit. That's a weird one.
Oh, man. All right, I guess I'm up. So the first one I saw, this was like just a really random watch. I was working, and I was like, I need something to kind of check out. And what'll it be? So everyone's seen the movie Knock Knock, the Eli Roth one, right? I assume.
No, I never seen it.
No,
you guys
have no
have
interest.
not seen that? Oh,
nope,
okay.
Don't care.
Well, the movie that I watched was not Knock Knock. It was the movie that Knock Knock basically took all inspiration. I mean, it's basically like a remake of, if we want to be honest, and it's called Death Game. And boy, was Colleen Camp hot back then. Like, if you guys know who Colleen Camp is. So I was going to talk about this in relation to Knock Knock, but without having seen Knock Knock, it's going to not make much sense. But basically, the crux of it is you have like I think the guys living in San Francisco, kind of like upper class or at least like upper middle class, wealthy, and two hot young girls show up at his door after his wife takes the kids like on some either to visit other family or vacation or something, and basically in a roundabout way seduce him after he initially tries to resist, and then after that there's kind of like an aftermath to it, and things go down like a more kind of like thriller-esque path, and you're trying to figure out the motivation of why these girls are doing it. His response is all that blah blah blah, then you get to the finale and whatnot. But I will say, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was better than Knock Knock. I thought there was more nuance to it. It was a little more playful of a movie, I will say, and that could just be the era that it was made in the 70s. What's his name? The guy who I can't remember his name, but he is recognizable. He played the sheriff in Misery, right? Same guy.
No, it's a different actor.
It's not him?
No.
It looks like him. Okay.
Everybody looks like that guy to Mike now.
Yeah. I guess it's not him. But anyways, yeah. So have either of you guys seen Death Game though? Derek, you have to have seen Death Game.
Is this in Australia?
Yes. No, it's American.
That I have.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty good. Seymour Cassell actually hates that movie because they actually overdubbed his voice with a different actor. It's actually not even him speaking in the movie. It's weird.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but
why the hell they do that?
70s, who knows? But I remember Colleen
70s.
Camp. Yeah, Colleen Camp and Sandra Locke are great in the movie as the two girls.
Yeah, and Colleen Camp, she's pretty known too. I mean, I would say, right? I mean, she's been in stuff.
Well, Sandra Locke's been in Matt Eastwood movies.
Yeah, that's true. She has. So, God, she was in Speed 2. I don't remember that. She was in Election.
She's in Knock Knock.
Yeah, she was. Die Hard with a Vengeance. She was in Last Action Hero. She was in Wayne's World. She was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt. Police Academy 4. Ooh. And Police Academy 2. But yeah, she's been around. I thought
at least it wasn't Police Academy 6.
Ha!
Oh, Lord. But yeah, you're right. The main guy, Seymour Castle. You're correct. Yeah, and I don't know. I thought he did look like that freaking sheriff, but I guess not. He was in Rushmore, though.
Yeah.
Right?
All white people look the same to me.
There you go. So you'll just believe it when I say it's him, but it's really not. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I would say for people that have seen Knock Knock, or even if you haven't and you want to see like a better version of it, then yeah, check out Death Game from 1977. So with that, I'll kick it back to Venom.
All right, the next thing I am gonna talk about this week is oh man, it hasn't been that long. Okay. Basically, I'm gonna talk about the very first horror film released in 2022. This movie was released literally on January 2nd of this year, but it was incredibly hard to find. Like, I tried to find it at first. Mike knows the movie I'm talking about. It was potentially going to be the very first 2022 episode for Fresh Cuts, but we weren't able to get a hold of the movie, and finally it kind of appeared on VOD over the last couple of weeks, and that movie is Deadware. Deadware, for those who don't know, is basically just the story of two friends back in the late 90s. I believe 1999 is the exact year. So it's kind of the infancy of the internet. You know, they're still using like, you know, AOL chat and, you know, chat rooms and things like that. And these two people, one who seems like they're a little bit savvy with the internet, who's been using it for a while, and then her friend, a guy that apparently they used to know or they used to live near each other. He's new to the internet, so she's kind of just walking him through the internet, you know, how to do little things like that. The movie is incredibly slow. Like, there's nothing super. I mean, the movie is only an hour and 8 minutes long, and I don't think anything even remotely supernatural happens for almost like the 30 or 40 minute mark. But basically, what ends up happening is these two people end up finding a weird game. I forget the name of the game. It was like Hell House or something weird like that. They basically find like an online, like an RPG, like a click and point adventure, or point and click adventure, excuse me. And of course, you know, it's a horror movie, so it just kind of devolves from there. And, you know, there's supernatural elements to it. You know, as the viewer, you're not 100% sure if this game is real, if this game, you get red herrings throughout the film that kind of start to change the context of the game that they're playing. I'm actually probably making it sound way more cerebral than it actually is, because ultimately it ends up being kind of a dull film. I was on board for this film for at least the first half of it. I thought the two people in it, I mean, there's only two people in the whole movie. I think we get an appearance here and there by other characters, but the majority of the film is, you know, taken up by these two characters. And they're both fairly likable, fairly organic, realistic people. Like, you know, they're not caricatures, they're not annoying. You know, they're fairly likable. So instantly, you know, I'm kind of on board. I don't hate these people. And but then just once the mystery kind of devolves and you kind of figure out what's happening, and it just culminates in an incredibly unsatisfying ending that doesn't answer any questions whatsoever and tries to be clever. The movie thinks it's more clever than it actually is, unfortunately. So that's probably the best thing I can say about Deadware. Some decent performances by our main, you know, two stars, but aside from that, not a whole lot happening here. Mike, I know you saw this.
Yeah, and as short as it was, and you said like an hour and 8 minutes, imagine how much shorter it would have been if one of the numerous times either of the characters said, "Yeah, I don't want to play this game anymore." If they would have said, "Okay," because I swear, like, I was getting a kick out of it because I'm like, every 10 minutes, one of them is like, "Yeah, I don't think we should play this anymore," and the other person will always kind of half agree, and then they just keep doing it anyway. So I'm like, well, you guys had multiple chances to stop. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is trying to kind of throw itself in with what are people calling it now, like computer screen horror genre or whatever you
like the den
refer
and shit.
to it. Yeah, like Zoom horror, whatever.
Zoom.
Skype horror, whatever your program of video chatting is, basically that.
For Instagram horror.
AOL.
Yeah, and I was trying to be like charitable to the movie because I actually think the premise is somewhat interesting. Like, instead of people just kind of hanging out talking online, they were actually like playing a game, which sort of gave them a vested interest to keep going. Unfortunately, what they set up with the premise, just in execution, it was kind of not all there, and it could just be budget. They didn't really have a budget to do much, but man, maybe this would have made like a better like short, and I know an hour and 8 minutes is already barely feature length as it is, but like maybe like a 20-minute short, they could have like invested some more just into making like the game elements they're playing a little bit more interesting.
I mean, a shorter runtime might have worked for it, but ultimately that ending is going to be disappointing no matter what the runtime. If this was only a 20-minute short, that ending is just as disappointing to me. I mean, it's just such an ambiguous ending. It's kind of left up to the viewer as to what actually happened, what is happening, why it's happening. Though we kind of have a kind of sort of idea why it's happening, the reason just doesn't make a whole lot of sense is all. So yeah, ultimately, it's kind of a found footage style. I mean, I guess, this Zoom Skype horror kind of falls into found footage, if you will, host movies like that. But this one just, left a lot to be desired. Fairly well made. I mean, it looked nice, but, otherwise there wasn't really a whole lot of compelling story points. The effects were just meh. And honestly, no blood or kills either. So, if that's something if you're looking for blood and kills and monsters, then Deadware is definitely not for you.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Next.
All right. Next, Derek, what do you got?
Speaking of monsters, I got the Blu-ray in from Kino Lorber of Tentacles, and I watched that.
Ooh.
Yeah, Tentacles is my jam. Craziest cast ever in a movie. John Huston, Shelley Winters, Henry Fonda, Italian killer octopus movie. And it's great because the music when the fucking octopus is creeping, do 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 do. But yeah, we actually talked about Tentacles a little bit when we talked about what the fuck was that movie I picked? Pearson, because the main theme of that movie is from the music from Tentacles, and it's cheesy. It's Shelley Winters wears this giant cowboy hat in the movie. I died fucking laughing because I was so stoned watching it. I'm like, what the fuck are these people wearing? Like, John Huston's just chilling around in long pajamas. It's fucking amazing. You just gotta watch it to believe it.
I should. I haven't seen Tentacles, and
I've only seen it once, and I think I must have been incredibly drunk or stoned because I remember I have a vision of seeing it, and I remember nothing about it.
You remember those long pajamas, don't you?
I think I do. Yeah.
Like
What year was this? What year was
77?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I've definitely seen it. It's just it might have been during one of my more drunky times.
Oh, we gotta do it for creature comforts, man.
I'd be down. Hell yeah. Hell, it's called Tentacles. I'm sold.
Yes, there's more tentacles in that than there was in monsters. Ooh. Spoiler alert.
Oh man, that's funny.
All right, so I guess it's back to me. So I will say that I watched.
Nothing.
Yeah, maybe so.
Mike played a video game.
I did play a video game, but nothing new. I played some Last of Us 2 on the PS5, but I watched a handful of De Palma movies. I don't even remember exactly what had me doing. I think I was talking to a friend about different directors.
Please.
No, it wasn't Duncan. It was, I think, one of my friends that streams on Twitch, and I was in his chat, and we were just talking about directors, and De Palma came up, and I was like, I haven't either seen a lot or some, or haven't seen him in a long time. Some of his earlier stuff, like Dress to Kill, Sisters, and of course I rewatched Carrie and Phantom of the Paradise I had never seen, and man,
that's so good.
What I gotta say, like early De Palma, it's like post Hitchcock giallo in some ways, like especially like Dress to Kill.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is pretty damn like for people that like giallo and haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean it must be like American style because so many features of like what you see in a giallo are done so well in it. And I think that was what 74 was it, or 72?
Oh, that's
maybe?
like 80.
What, Dress to Kill? Yeah, 79 or 80.
Dress to Kill is okay. Maybe I'm confusing with a different one, but so that was pretty. That Dress to Kill was great.
If it was 70s, it would be really Angie Dickinson's real pussy in the movie.
Sisters was good with Margot Kidder. If you guys had seen that one where they do like the Siamese twin.
You never seen Sisters before till today?
Nope. Well, not today, but a week ago. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I only saw it for the first time a couple of years ago.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm just trolling.
Well, it made me think. You know how like sometimes you see parody stuff and you think it's like a generalized parody, and then you see a certain movie that makes you go, maybe they were parodying that. Well, there's a segment on an old Treehouse of Horror with Bart and Hugo, and they were like Siamese twins, and I always just figured it was like a general parody of like any, like just the body double or evil twin or whatever type movies. But then I remember that at the end of that episode, they're like, oh my God, the scar on Bart's on the wrong side. Is he really the evil one? And then in Sisters, they made like it important to show like the scar on the leg. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if like that element of it was directly from Sisters. So, the no guarantee, but I just found that kind of interesting how retrospectively you can like pick out things
Sisters
from
is great.
satires. Yeah, man, Margot Kidder back then. Wow.
Yeah, and fucking, you say like he's like copying Hitchcock. He even has fucking Bernard Herrmann doing the fucking score of Sisters.
Nice.
Yeah, well, that was an interesting thing because I was like coming off of Hitchcock. You have kind of like two lanes where it's like De Palma's almost trying to be like the next suspenseful Hitchcock. And then you have a guy like William Castle who's taking a lot of Hitchcock scenarios but almost making them more campy. So it was like two ways you could go, because I wouldn't call William Castle movies like comedy or anything, but there's definitely a camp factor to stuff.
Oh, there's some comedy in some of those. That 13 Frightened Girls is a straight comedy.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but like, yeah, like I said, like it's interesting that like there's two kind of like ways that our directors branched out in the wake of Hitchcock, and then of course with early De Palma, you see like the early use of like the split screen stuff, and then how it gets more intense with different movies. He kind of stuck with it, and it works well in his movies.
I wonder what Mike would think of the movie Vision. Did you ever see that one, Venom?
Oh yeah. I think
that one.
It's a movie like from the early 70s with like the chick from Tiffany Bullen, the chick from like Kingdom of the Spiders.
Oh, okay.
The whole movie is split screen.
Oh wow, interesting.
So, like half the movie is from the killer's point of view, and the other movie is from a potential victim.
Yeah, it's kind of
Cool.
like the same thing they did with Time Frame a few years ago with 4 movies going on at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Vision was great.
Yeah, I skipped I skipped Scarface just because that's one that's kind of always been around through the years. Like I didn't really need to rewatch it for the sake of why I was watching De Palma.
You didn't watch Untouchables? No, that's how you got Capone, Nash.
No,
My name's Sean Connery.
I will. See, what I stopped it at about 4 or 5 of his movies, and I looked up his filmography, and I was like, wow, there's so many more. I'm just gonna have to break this out into sections because I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna go through his whole thing in one kind of.
I can't wait till he gets the mission to Mars.
He did Raising Cain, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Is that De Palma? I saw that in the theater.
Yeah, Lithgow, yeah.
Yeah, like 92. I've seen it before, just haven't seen it in like a long time.
Yeah,
and I think it came out when I was so young that like when De Palma was the director, I didn't. It's not like at 12 years old or whatever that name jumped out to me like, oh, Brian De Palma, you know?
Oh, I had no idea. I remember the trailer for that movie. The trailer for Raising Cain was awesome. It got me hooked instantly. And then when I went to see the movie, I was not disappointed. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I really like Snake Eyes. That's kind of an underrated one. It's kind of 90s, but Nick Cage is good in it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know that was De Palma either. I think the first time I saw Snake Eyes, me and a friend were movie hopping, and we saw Con Air and Snake Eyes together. Or maybe it was 7 as well. It was a long day at the theater.
Jesus.
That's what we did when we were kids. We figured out the bus schedule to get to the theater for like the earliest showing, and then usually stayed there late enough to where like the bus stopped running, so like one of our parents had to get us, which they were always thrilled about. All right, so yeah, I had a mini De Palma Orama as I was referring to it. So I'll definitely have to do a volume 2 because, like I said, there's so much movies he's directed.
I want Mission to Mars to be part of that double. The second one.
It could be. I definitely got to get Blowout in the next one because that's one I have seen but not in a long time. So I want to revisit that. And
either that, or you're gonna do Mission later stuff. Or if you want to get torturous, you just do a Mars marathon and do Mission to Mars and Red Planet, and you will die and gouge your eyes out.
And then Total Recall.
No, Last Days of Mars. That's pretty good.
All right, so it's my mini De Palma Orama. So Venom, back to you.
All right, as Mike talked about some classic films that he recently watched, I'm going to go ahead and talk about one, not a first time watch for me by any stretch of the imagination. For anybody who knows me, you know that I went to Monsterpalooza a couple of weeks ago. It was actually the first week of June out here in Pasadena, California. Got to meet some great people, Doug Bradley, Tim Curry, Ashley Lawrence, the whole cast of Scream. It was a really, really great event, as most horror cons are, you know. But I did a lot of spending. I bought a bunch of 4Ks because that was kind of my intention. I wanted to upgrade a lot of my old favorites that, you know, I still had only on Blu-ray or, God forbid, on DVD or VHS. So one of the ones that I upgraded, and I'm very happy I did, is actually, if I remember correctly, this is the number one favorite film of one of my podcast partners. I'm not sure if it's Derek or Don, but I know it's one of them. I know I've heard one of them say that this is their favorite movie of all time, bar none. And this is, of course, 1979's classic Lucio Fulci's Zombie, or in Italy, Zombie 2, or other regions of Europe, it was also known as Zombie 2. I went ahead and got the Blue Underground 4K release, which is absolutely gorgeous. Some great interviews. I can't speak to how great this transfer is. I mean, Blue Underground maybe isn't, you know, the be all end all of 4K by any stretch. This transfer is beautiful. Just a flawless transfer, beautiful audio. The sound is all remastered. And the special features are great. I mean, do I really even have to talk about the movie Zombie? I'm pretty sure we've all heard about it. I don't need to give you a synopsis. It's literally probably, in my opinion, the second or third greatest zombie movie ever made. Easily the greatest foreign zombie movie ever made, in my opinion. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a Dawn of the Dead guy till the end. #1 zombie movie all time. Nothing touches it, but Zombie comes really, really close, my friends. So, yeah, there it is. 1979 Zombie on 4K. If you don't already own it, I would highly recommend it. Beautiful transfer, lots of great special features, and even a nice package, too, with some options for the cover, too. You even get like 2 or 3 different cover options, kind of like the special edition Blu-rays that they did a few years ago, but now it's, instead of being like a 3D rendered cool picture, it's just a flat image, but you still have a couple of options of which cover you want to get. So yeah, Lucio Fulci Zombie, my friends. Like I said, I'm not even going to bother talking about the movie because do I really have to at this point? So if you guys want to spew anything on Zombie, by all means, go ahead. I can't imagine you both haven't seen this movie incessantly.
It's my favorite horror film of all time.
There it is. It is Derek. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Derek or Don.
It's both of us, actually.
Okay, oh, that's even better. That's awesome.
Yeah. At least we agree on one movie, right?
It's currently sitting on my wish list. I'm like hoping that it drops a little because that strategy actually worked with Demons 4K from Arrow and Synapse and the RoboCop 4K Arrow release, because both those I ended up buying for like $25, and I think Zombie's still listed higher, but I'm eventually going to get it because it is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think most movies I don't necessarily always upgrade like every new technological release. Zombie is one of them. I remember buying like the Bare Bones. Well, one, I had it on VHS. Bought the Bare Bones DVD when it first hit. Then I got that 2-disc. I think it was the 25th anniversary collection, and then whoever released on Blu-ray, and 4K. Blue Underground. I thought it was Blue Underground. And the 4K, it's sitting there. I check on it weekly just to see. Because the moment it drops, I'm getting it.
I have like 35 copies of the movie.
That's nice. How I am with Dawn of the Dead. I got at least a dozen to 15 different versions. I mean, I've got Dawn on Laserdisc. I've got it on remember HD DVD that failed. I've got it on that.
I even have the Shriek Show DVD, which is like fucking weird because Shriek Show is fucking terrible company.
Wow.
It has a great box art though.
Yeah.
I find that my enthusiasm for 4K is already having me break my like collector rule, because I'm nowhere near I wouldn't even classify myself as a collector anymore, like even now. But when I first grabbed some 4Ks, like I was like, I'll just grab some of them, like my favorite horror movies of all time. And then it's like, movies like RoboCop. I love Predator, like sci-fi. Like it's just like once you start, it's tough because it's hard to draw like a hard line in the sand for the standard of like what I will buy and won't buy. Like obviously, there's some movies that I'll just never buy on 4K because I don't care. But it's hard to say like, okay, these are the 10 movies that I care about the most that will be the only ones I upgrade. It's like it never works like that. So I have been buying like some 4K, not in like mass. Like I'm not doing these crazy like $300 orders of like 50 movies or whatever the price would work out to. But I do find myself like browsing around a lot more than I have in the last few years. And that
stay away from
release.
Those Kinos. Yeah, stay away from those Kino seals. Those are fucking addictive.
I noticed that like a lot of a lot of these 4K releases, like they'll be expensive initially, but then like there's all these like collab sales between like different distributors and websites that like you can catch like pretty good deals if you kind of just like browse around and wait. And I understand like when it comes to collectors, there's certain movies that you're just not gonna wait. It's like the moment it's announced, you're pre-ordering it, you're gonna get it, and that's that. But for me, it's like I kind of just build up a wish list on different sites and wait for alerts for price drops or sales. And I've been pretty lucky that most of the stuff that I've wanted to get, I've been able to buy it when significant price has been reduced. And I guess it's different if like you're the person that wants like, because I know sometimes they'll do the limited releases where it's like, oh, all this extra stuff, but there's only like going to be like 200 copies of it. So that's the stuff I'm always going to probably end up missing out on. But just for like kind of like a steel book or something, most of the time, by the time I buy it, it's like down to like 20-ish, which to me is plenty okay for everything you get.
Yep.
Yeah.
I tend not to double dip unless it's my favorites, but my favorites isn't even 10. Like I couldn't even name 10 movies that I'm always updating when new technology comes out. I mean, for me, it's closer to 5 or 6. But yeah, I am still a technology whore, and I love my 4K, video and audio. So yeah.
Yeah, like I know for sure if like the Nightmare on Elm Street, if a 4K box set comes out of that's I don't think I'm going to be waiting around. Well, I don't know. I can't say that for sure. One, it depends on the price, and two, what's in the set. Like, because if it's a case where if you don't buy this set now, then you're going to miss out on half like the stuff. I'll probably just bite the bullet and pay the extra money. But if it's basically just like it's a 4K set and they're in 4K and you get like a poster, I probably wouldn't care to have to get that on day one, but we'll see. I know it's eventually. There's no way they're not going to do it. So
yeah. I mean, I'm the same way with Friday. I mean, when the Friday box set was released or was announced from Scream Factory, I reserved it right away. I didn't even care. Take my money. And if a 4K box set comes out of that, even though I don't really need it's fucking Friday the 13th, for Christ's sake. None of them have stunning cinematography or amazing visuals that I need 4K by any stretch, but it is my favorite horror franchise. So yeah, I will absolutely, if they ever announce a 4K box set, I'll be that idiot paying $350 for it. Ugh.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the 4K transfers on the Hitchcock collection box sets, because I just grabbed volume 2, and it's just amazing, like for movies that old, that if they're able to preserve the originals and be able to like upgrade directly off that, remix everything and convert it, like they come out really well, like just the style of the colors, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I just watched The Birds. I just watched The Birds this past weekend on 4K, and yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I never grabbed any of those yet. I gotta eventually.
I just got Psycho and The Birds. I didn't get any of the sets. I love Hitchcock, but I just don't have that much money at any given time.
The first set is pretty much like the volume 1 is pretty much like the shameless big 4 that like everybody would point to. It's Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window, and Vertigo. Like you really can't go wrong with volume 1, because it's like the 4 that probably everyone's gonna like, and then 2 starts getting deeper. What the hell's on part 2? Shit. Now that you're putting me on the spot, I can't even freaking name them off.
They're like Amazon. Just look at your Amazon order. Did you order from Amazon?
I don't know. Was it Amazon? It was somewhere.
God damn it, Dennis. You got Butterfingers?
It is Saboteur, Shadow of Doubt, The Trouble with Harry, Marnie, and Family Plot.
Oh, Marnie was good. I mean, most of them.
Yeah, so volume 2 actually had 5 instead of 4, so that's cool.
No Frenzy?
No Rope?
No.
That's upsetting.
I assume they're going to have more volumes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So. Like, they're not going to. Rope is my favorite Hitchcock movie, so yeah. And it does not get enough love, in my opinion, but, hopefully we'll rectify that when it comes out on 4K.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when it comes to like Kubrick, I've already bought A Clockwork Orange and The Shining, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I'm like, I bet there's eventually going to be like a Kubrick set,
Oh, there
and I
already
should have
is.
just waited.
Pretty sure there's already.
Well, is it like?
But it's
Is
not
it
like,
just like a?
it's
Is it
not
actual
horror.
like new?
It's like I could swear it was like it's the same as the Hitchcock, where it's like it's 4 big ones: Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket,
2001.
2001. I can't think of what else. Definitely not Barry Lyndon.
Oh, that's a fucking experience and a half.
You could call it
Barry
that,
Lyndon
yeah.
was in the whatchamacallit, the
Criterion
original
Collection.
DVD set I had.
Nice.
Yeah, all 7 hours of it.
All right, yeah. The Kubrick 5-disc is Clockwork Orange, The Shining, 2001: Space Odyssey, Full Metal Jacket, and Spartacus.
Yep.
I'm very excited because Kino's been out like a lot of his older movies on 4K, like The Kill-In and Paths of Glory, which I fucking love. Paths of Glory, that's a fucking great movie.
Yeah, the big difference is this is listed at $87, where the Hitchcock collection for the 5 was like $40. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Wait for
yeah,
that price to drop.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, don't you know?
Nothing to Fago.
All right. So I think we were originally talking about zombies, so will that put it back to Derek now?
Yep.
All right, Derek, what do you got?
I got. I'm trying to think. What do I want to talk about? Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna talk about video games because Mikey's the fucking video game motherfucker. I played fucking Power Rangers Battle for the Grid on Nintendo Switch, motherfucker.
Wow. What?
How is it?
It's pretty awesome if you're a Power Rangers fan.
Is it like a beat 'em up game? Like what style of game?
Yeah,
is
it's like
it?
Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
Oh, a fighting
have-
game. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. But I played the story mode, which is pretty much like a kind of shortened version of the Shattered Grid graphic novel. If you guys ever heard of that,
Heard of it, never read it.
which is about Lord Draken, who is an alternate version of the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, if he actually stayed evil, and he ends up combining the green and white powers together and killing Rita Repulsor and becoming the head bad guy. And he ends up going to all the other universes and trying to take all the other Power Rangers' powers. And it's up to them to try to stop him with the help of the other Green Ranger, of course, our world's Tommy. It's pretty good, you know. It has, you know, some of the button combinations kind of suck. Well, most fighting games I notice on the Switch. Still trying to learn some button combinations, put it that way. But I did beat the game. It was pretty good in that sense, where it was. I think if you're a Power Rangers fan, it has, like, you know, another thing that kind of upset me is there's not really a variety of music in the game, which kind of sucks. But overall, you know, I had fun, you know, and you get to call the Zords that give you assists, which I liked. Like, if you have, like, the Dragon Zord, its tail just comes in and hits your enemy. It's fucking hilarious. But, yeah, I had fun with it, you know. That was my era stuff, and I do recommend, if you guys are interested, read the Shattered Grid graphic novel by Kyle Higgins. It's pretty fucking awesome. Violent as all hell, too.
Listening to
You got?
Derek describe this game makes me feel like a non-horror fan when I try to describe the plot of The Greasy Strangler to them. Not to say, I understand what Derek's talking. I've never watched an episode of Power Rangers in my fucking life, so is the point I'm trying to make. I know nothing about it. And like I said, hearing you talk about this and that and this, it's like, oh, okay, that's just a lot of information that means very little to me. But yeah, I finally know what it feels like for a non-horror fan to hear me spout off about weird horror movies. So good.
Have either of you grabbed what is it called? What's that new? It's like a Nintendo Switch Ninja Turtles like game, but I think it includes
Shredder's
like
Revenge
a bunch of them. Shredder's Revenge, is it?
I think that's the name of it. Yeah, that's the one that's getting a lot of reviews.
I haven't grabbed it yet. I grabbed a few games today, but
my Switch isn't even plugged in. My Switch hasn't been plugged in about a year and a half. Not to say anything negative about the Switch. I loved it when I was using it, but just once PS5 and Xbox Series all came out, I just kind of forgot all about my Switch. Like a game hasn't come out since to make me want to pull it back out of the closet. I guess let's go with that. My Switch is in the closet.
well, I know two things: is Venom has to pick up his Switch again, and he has to watch at least the monster scenes of Power Rangers.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. For me, wow. Okay, this last one. Have you guys seen Backcountry? The one with the bear?
I have not.
I did.
So this was like
the same guy.
This was a random pick on Shudder. I believe it was on Shudder.
Yeah, it's the same guy who did Pie Wacket. Same director.
Oh, nice.
Oh, is it? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing I'll say about Backcountry. There's not a ton of killer bear action, but what we do get is really good, I think. So this movie might be, or as far as people's enjoyment or how much they like the movie, it might be dependent on, how much you're kind of into the characters up to that point, into like their character dynamic, the story, the dialogue, and all that up until the bear shows up. If you're on board and you're kind of interested to see what happens to them, I think you'll be in for a treat once the bear shows up and does bear things. If you're struggling to get to that point, is there enough bear action that you'll be like, wow, this is will you still think it's a very good or even great movie? I don't know, but I think some of the stuff depicted with the bear on it, I mean, it was pretty visceral and realistic. And I think that's sometimes movies like this, it can be the strength when they're not going for all the over the top stuff, but what they do feature seems like it could be pretty plausible. So I guess that's the shortest way I can sum up Backcountry. It is still streaming on Shudder, and I liked it a good amount. What do you think, Derek, of it?
I liked it. It kind of annoyed me that Eric Balfour was in the movie because all I thought about was, hey, that's the guy from Dino Shark. But other than that, it's a pretty good movie for what it is.
Yeah, I liked it, and I think it's like like your standard 80 to 90 minute movie. Doesn't feel too padded. Quick, easy watch. Nothing too deep going on there. Just your typical couple with some relationship dynamics going on, and hey, a killer bear shows up that's hungry.
Based on a true story too, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess a bear attack would be based on many true stories. I guess if you want to get.
No, I think it was actually based on a real case that the director read about, like in Canada. It's a Canadian film, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a pretty horrifying true story for sure. Don't feed and don't poke the bears. Okay. All right, well that's it, I guess, for what we watched.
News?
I guess we can move on to news. Do we have any news? I have some sad news about the co-founder of Goblin that I'm sure you guys have read, right?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I just read about it today, waiting for the movie to start.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I mean, I know it happened a couple of days ago, but I haven't been, like I said, I've been on vacation, so I haven't really been on the internet much.
Yeah, I haven't really been on Facebook that much lately. What happened?
Founder of Goblin passed away. The guitarist founder?
Yeah, the guitarist.
Yeah.
What's his name?
He's listed as, guitarist.
It's a really long Italian name.
I think it starts with like.
Hey, we're all assholes.
Yeah, I know. Especially me. I own multiple Goblin soundtracks, but I couldn't name one member of the band. So.
It's Massimo Morante.
Claudio Simonetti. That's the only one I know.
Yeah, he's listed as Goblin co-founder, dead at 69. Guitarist, co-founder Massimo Morante. And all
right.
That sucks because they were just. I don't want to say they were just getting back into it because now they've been doing it for a few years, but doing like U.S. tours. I know one of them. I think they played. I'm not sure if it was a Suspiria soundtrack. I'm not sure if that's the one they did the entire soundtrack of or one of the different movies they scored, but that sucks. Because they were kind of having a second career because I think they did break up or just kind of like stopped doing their thing.
Then there was two different versions of Goblin going for a while. Like Claudio Simonetti had his own version of Goblin, and then the other group had another version of Goblin. It's like, what?
Oh man! All right.
Nice job bringing down the movie.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
I know.
R.I.P.
I guess another piece of news: the Winnie the Pooh horror movie. I think that's going to be interesting. I mean, if the pictures from that were accurate, he looks kind of messed up.
Yeah, I'm always kind of cautious on these types of movies. I fully expected to hate the Banana Splits, but I ended up enjoying that one. I mean, I'm open to the Winnie the Pooh movie. I am a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. I grew up with Winnie the Pooh. Absolutely adored the stories, the movie, the TV shows, everything around Winnie the Pooh. So I don't know. It's almost sacrilegious, like nothing is sacred anymore, which, is fine. I'm not against a Muppet horror movie or a Fraggle Rock rape revenge movie. I mean, whatever, throw it at me, whatever you got. But
wow,
yeah. Sometimes it just gets a little overboard. Yeah, that Fraggle Rock rape revenge movie is going to be pretty hardcore.
I guess that's the question with these types of movies all the time. It's like, is this just going to be a dumb gimmick type movie where it's like we can make a horrible movie, but because Winnie the Pooh is the killer, then everyone is going to see it anyway, so we don't have to put much effort into it and all that kind of stuff? Or are they actually going to try to make an interesting movie?
I mean, because you got to realize the only reason this is being made is because the copyright to Winnie the Pooh expired earlier this year.
Yeah, it became public.
So literally anybody can make a Winnie the Pooh movie now. It sucks. This is what I don't like about it. With the Banana Splits, that film company got permission from Hanna-Barbera to make that movie. So that was, which is probably why I ended up kind of liking that movie. It's campy and silly, yes, but I had a good time with it for whatever it's worth. This is a bunch of fucking vultures who just were waiting around for the copyright to expire. And then bam, all right, now let's take it. I mean, trust me, folks, once like the Wizard of Oz expires, that copyright expires, we're going to get Wizard of Oz horror movies. Every great franchise from 75 to 100 years ago, once those copyrights expire, there's always going to be some shyster ready to make a buck on it. So I don't want to pan what it's Blood and Honey, right? Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, or whatever is the name of the movie. Yeah, I know exactly. I'm not going to talk shit about a movie that hasn't come out yet. I don't like doing that. I hate when other people do that. So I'm just going to refrain from it. I will say, though, that the little kid in me, little 5-year-old Mr. Venom, is not happy that they're making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Let's just go with that. And 50-year-old Mr. Venom is even less happy about it.
A Tigger.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Hollywood's just run out of ideas. I mean, that's why we're churning out remakes and prequels and sequels like they're free, because Hollywood's run out of ideas. And every time we get a genuinely original idea, it's lucky if it comes out in 50 theaters. So I just, yeah. I don't know that this is even a theatrical movie. It's probably going to be straight to VOD, and I'm still going to watch it ultimately. Even with my misgivings about it, I'm still going to watch it. I give every movie a chance. I will always give every movie a chance, but let's just say I'm not excited.
Coming soon, the fresh cuts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Winnie the Pooh. La 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 la. If he fucking cuts a Heffalumps head off, that would be fucking amazing, though.
No, he's got to cut Eeyore's tail off. That'll be the backstory.
Eeyore is actually going to commit suicide in this movie. He's just going to be slitting his wrist.
You almost have to. I mean, Eeyore is fucking a walking poster for suicide. Yeah, Jesus.
I would be too if I lived in his house.
Granted, I don't know. I'm not going to comment. What else you got, Mike?
I guess this is more for Venom. Have you picked up the game The Quarry?
Not yet. I am absolutely going to get it. 100%. I'm still playing. I just picked up Lego Star Wars, and it's all 9 Skywalker movies, so it's kind of a long game, and it's multiplayer, so the wife and I are playing it. So once I'm done with
the whole thing. It's amazing.
Oh, did you? Nice. Yeah. Once we're done with that, because we just finished Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, also co-op. And then we jumped into Lego because she had bought that for my birthday back in April, and we had never played it. So yeah, The Quarry will be next.
Those Lego games are fucking cool.
Oh, they're fun as hell, dude.
I'm playing Lego.
The Death Star run. The Death Star run in the first movie was awesome. In the game, I mean.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm only up to Return of the Jedi right now, so we're not very far into it.
Okay.
You're about to bring balance to the Force.
Oh, well, trust me.
Legos.
If I had the Force, I would not be bringing balance to it, my friends. It would be darker than ever.
I'm also playing Lego DC Villains, and that's fucking fun as fuck.
I heard that's really good too. Yeah, I'm not a big DC guy, so I don't really run out and buy the video games.
I only got it because it has like all like the great voice actors as the characters too. Like Mark Hamill plays the Joker in it.
Nice.
They brought Michael Ironside to play Darkseid, and it's fucking awesome. I am Darkseid Quaid.
Which Batman voice is it?
Kevin Conroy.
Oh, Kevin Conroy.
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you guys have any news? Because the only other news thing I have is going to kind of tie into the burning question, so I was going to save it for last. But if you guys don't have anything, I'll just go ahead and do it.
No, I don't have any news. I got a new wedding band. If that's news.
Robert Englund was in Stranger Things. Did we talk about that?
Oh wow, that's right. We have. I'm surprised. That's evil episodes.
Okay. Well, I'll just do the last news item, and then once we're done, I'll kind of explain how to tie it into the burning question. But anyways.
Music.
I guess this was a bigger news item when we were probably originally going to record. I would say it's topic worthy, but it's been a couple weeks, so people have had time to talk about it. But basically, the franchise is continuing. The next entry is next year, I believe, 2023. But its biggest actress, face, character, whatever, besides the villain itself, will not be a part of it, at least according to the latest of everything we've heard, and that would be Neve Campbell is out of Scream 6. From what's been said, it sounds like it's a money issue. It doesn't sound like it's a story, like it's not creative differences. She's not happy with the story or her role or how she was written. At least from what I'm hearing, it's a money issue. Now, to me, I'm like, unless she was requesting like a ridiculous amount of money that's like way over the budget of what they would pay, I don't even understand how this could be. I mean, I'm not saying it's not the reason. I just don't understand from the business side why they just wouldn't pay her, because like your Scream makes money. It's not like it's a struggling franchise looking, on its last legs, looking to turn a profit. It makes money. It's the one franchise where she's pretty much been there. Well, she has literally been there every entry. I mean, you can make the argument that her presence in one or two of the movies wasn't necessary, I guess, other than just the fandom reasons of, oh, we got to tie it in. So, I mean, before I open it up to really the more burning question side of what I'll get to, when it just comes to this specific, I guess it's going to be different depending on everyone's level of fandom for Scream itself, because probably the Scream diehards are more, I don't even know if I want to use the word upset, but they're probably more just like, what the hell? Like, how can you not do it? Venom, I know you're kind of lukewarm on not just Scream, but the franchise. Mm-hmm. Like, does this even matter to you that
not at
she's not going to be in it?
In no franchises. I know we're speaking specific to Scream right now, but to answer the general question at large, in no franchise do I need legacy characters to come back. I genuinely don't care. Now, obviously, when you have a certain connection, like, especially with Neve Campbell, Scream fans have a major connection with her. They expect her to see her in every Scream movie. So I can almost understand it, but ultimately, you can't say that the movie's automatically going to be bad because Neve Campbell's in it. Because what if it turns out to be the best fucking Scream movie? I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying what if? You got to be open. You have to be receptive to that. And I'm always receptive to that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I really don't care about legacy characters. I just want a good movie. Whether it's a prequel, a requel, a remake, a reboot, or a completely original IP, I want, well, obviously in this case, we're not talking about completely original IPs, but I just don't care. I don't care about legacy characters. I'm a Friday the 13th guy. And yes, was I excited to see the return of Tommy Jarvis in Don't Hike Alone at Night, or whatever it was? No, Don't Hike Alone.
Never hike alone. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Don't hike alone, especially at night.
Yeah, don't hike in the woods with boots on a Friday in September. That's a good movie, right? I like that movie. Anyway. As a Friday the 13th fan, was I excited to see Tommy Jarvis back in a Friday fan film? Yes. Did it make the movie for me? No, not remotely. That fan film is awesome for many, many multitude of other reasons, not just because Tommy Jarvis came back, or one of the Tommy Jarvises. It's not like it was Corey Feldman or anything, but still. So yeah, when it comes to me, I really don't care. I'm still going to see the next Scream movie. If anything, I'm kind of excited for the next Scream movie because I like when franchises take chances. You know what I mean? I've said it before. I'd rather see a long-standing horror franchise take a chance and fail than just rehash the same shit over and over and over and over again. People might want to talk about, Friday the 13th Part 5, a movie where Jason doesn't even appear. But they took a chance. They took a chance with a copycat killer. It had varying results, and they never did it again. So, it was an experiment. Jason Goes to Hell, the whole, Jason jumping from body to body. Once again, they tried something original. Was it successful? That's in the opinion of the viewer. I think most people would probably say no because they wanted more actual Jason in that movie. And I will say I would have liked to have seen more Jason in that movie. But I still really like Jason Goes to Hell. It's one of my guilty pleasures in that franchise. So yeah, like I said, legacy characters to me, it doesn't carry any weight. I have never, and I mean, and this is going to sound like an exaggeration, folks, but I am speaking 100% the fucking truth right now. I have never, ever in my fucking life seen a movie because of a certain person that was in it. Never. Nobody. Zero. I have never gone to say, oh, Christopher Lee's in that movie. Let's go see it. Oh, Fred Willard's in that movie. Let's go see it. Oh, I literally have never made that fucking statement in my life. For me, movies aren't about one or two characters. It's about the whole, the package, the entertainment value of the entire thing. So yeah, kind of like in the 80s where people were like, oh, Linnea Quigley's in a new horror movie. Let's go rent it. That's never been me ever. And even as a kid, even as a boob obsessed teenager, that was never me. I've never in my life watched a movie because of a particular actor or actress was in it. So, legacy characters literally mean less than 0 to me. That's the short answer. That ended up being really, really long.
Yeah. You want my opinion on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'll go ahead. And I'm going to say, I kind of agree with Venom. I like that they're changing it up for once. Because, god damn it, it took him a while to kill fucking Dewey, and he finally did. He should have died in fucking Scream 2.
Yep.
I said it.
And I agree with it.
It's just, they're just lingering there. They're going to be old fucking people still playing the Scream movies. And, I have some issues with Scream 5, but I kind of like the main actress that was the main character of the movie, and I would like to see her follow her story a little bit more instead of following Sydney, because that's what the whole idea of being a reboot was. You introduce these new characters through the legacy characters and move on, which I think that this movie is going to do, which I'm fine with, and I think Sydney and Gale story could have ended at the end of Scream 5 and just leave it there and just follow these new characters now.
Yeah, honestly, there's not really a lot left to tell with Gale and Sydney.
Especially with no Dewey anymore,
And without Dewey, yeah, but I mean, and ultimately Dewey was my favorite of the 3, even though I fully agree with Derek that he should have died in part 2. But, again... And then the other thing is, too, to Mike's point about why she wasn't offered enough money, you have to realize movie studios are always looking for ways to cut corners and still make the money that they can make. My prediction is that they're going to release Scream 6 without Neve Campbell, and then based on the success of that movie will dictate if she's back in Scream 7. So if Scream 6 turns out to be just as much of a success as the last movie, I don't think we'll ever see Neve Campbell again, because that means that the filmmakers can make all their money and not have to pay their number one star. And that's a huge money-saving move in the industry. I know it's shitty, especially from fans. Nobody wants to see Freddy Krueger played by anybody but our boy. But,
But it's in really in a roundabout way, it's just going to go into the marketing even more, because if you look at it, if nothing happens between now and like when Scream 6 comes out and Neve Campbell is indeed not in it and this isn't all some type of like cunning ruse, I guess.
So it's like Disney?
Yeah. So what that probably means is like people will be overly curious about the first Scream entry without Sydney, right? Then if 6 makes money, like a lot of money, then if they do get Neve Campbell back, then they can bill Scream 7 as like, oh, Sydney's huge return to Scream to generate even more interest. And I will say it's probably just a bout of happy coincidence, but this is going to be the first Scream movie that's not in Woodsboro, right? Like it's going to be New York, I think.
Yep.
So right there, it almost gives a built-in like if they tweak the story enough, there's kind of like a built-in excuse why it's possible for the character not to be involved in it, right? Because it's not like Sydney is necessarily just going to follow these characters around, when she has her own life separate going on. Like she's not still in Woodsboro as a character. She did come back to help out in a movie, but she's not there anymore. Like even in 5, like Dewey kind of had to be coaxed back into the situation. He was kind of like moved on with his life. I guess what life we could call it at that point. But like the OG characters that were still alive, it's not like they're just sitting around anyway. So I don't think it's the be all end all that she's not in this one, because I highly doubt that she'll never be back. I just think they could turn it into even bigger marketing campaign for when she eventually does come back. And that's what this franchise,
I don't think
this franchise specifically.
Yeah, I just.
You think she's done?
If they're not going to pay her for this, what makes you? I mean, like I said, if Scream 6 is a failure, if it is an abject failure, Sydney will be back in 7, and what do you call it? The company will offer her the money that she wants, because
as long as I don't get any fucking weird visions of Billy Loomis, because that was my major problem with the last movie. I'm like,
Ghost
when he's pointing at the knife, like, I'm helping you, daughter. I'm like, what the fuck are they trying to redeem Billy right now? What the fuck is this movie?
It's a weird
this movie.
Yeah. That was kind of weird. I mean, obviously those were the daughter's hallucinations, and her image of her father is a little bit more positive than society's image of her father. So that's how I looked at it. I looked at it. That was her. She's an unreliable narrator. So she's, she sees her father as a hero, even though we all know that he was just a scumbag. But like I said, if they're not going to offer Neve Campbell the money that she deserves for 6, I don't see why they would do it for 7 if 6 is a success.
Right, she probably got paid the same. She got paid probably the same amount for fucking Scream 3, and she's barely in that fucking movie.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a big Scream franchise fan, so I don't really look into the franchise, like, behind the scenes stuff too much. But I mean, I can actually give you guys a live report. I was there when Neve Campbell made the announcement. She made that announcement on day 1 of Monsterpalooza at the Scream table, at the Scream meet, whatever you want to call it, meet and greet.
Oh yeah.
She actually made the announcement there that she would not be returning to the Scream franchise, and she even talked about talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, because Jamie Lee Curtis was the exact same way. Jamie Lee Curtis, like back in during the Halloween H2O days, like when her return to the franchise, they really didn't want to pay her that much, and she made the argument that people are coming to see Laurie. They're coming to see Laurie versus Michael. That is Halloween. That is the Halloween franchise, and she was able to talk whoever it was, New Line or whoever the studio was, to actually pay her the money, and she actually brought up Neve brought up a conversation that she had with Jamie Lee Curtis, where Jamie, I don't want to accuse Jamie of putting the idea in her head of quitting Scream, not by any stretch, but Jamie Lee definitely instilled a sense of her own value, her value within that franchise. And if she's not getting paid what she feels she deserves for being the face of that franchise, aside from Ghostface, then I don't think she'll ever be back. Like I said, if Scream 6 is an absolute flop, she'll be back.
She'll be back.
Well, I think it's an interesting contrast, because you have the Scream franchise where Sydney's always been there. Now, her importance in the movie or role or how she's written in the story has varied with each entry, but she's always been there. Now with Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie Strode, it was kind of a different situation, because she was in the first 2. Then the franchise kind of went on to where eventually I think it was in people's heads that Laurie Strode wasn't really even necessary. I mean, they did try to do like the Jamie Lloyd thing, like, oh, well, technically she's related, but no one, I don't really think people cared about it for that aspect. But then she comes back for H2O, and it's like a huge deal. Then she's gone again, and then now, of course, then the whole retconning thing happened where she's back. And that was first announced. Well, when that was announced, I always thought what are they gonna? Because Jamie Lee Curtis is not young. Like, eventually, just the actress will not be available to do it. So it's like, is what's more important? Just to the people that want to make them, Or are they gonna move beyond the character, or will it just be one day they're just gonna recast Laurie Strode, right? Because I think that's an aspect. And then the same with Scream. Like, if Neve Campbell decides just not to return, period, like she can't work something out, it's like, well, do they just determine, well, okay, we'll just have to write the character of Sydney out because Nev's been it this whole time. We're not just, until maybe if they did like a remake or a reboot 20 years down the road where we haven't had Scream movies, I think it becomes a little easier. But if Scream's back on this path of like, we're going to be coming out with new ones all the time, I think it's more prevalent that she's not there. Okay, and then you have like other franchises, because like Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy came back for 1 and part 3. And it was, I was too young at the time to see, was that a big part of the advertising that she was back, or was it just, nope, this is just a new
Well, not really.
Nightmare.
She'd only been gone for a year, because they made 1, 2, and 3 in consecutive years. So There was almost no time without her. It's like,
well,
she's
like, I
back,
just meant
is
like
she
people
gone?
in general were like people talking about like, oh, cool, Nancy's back, or
Yeah,
did not.
I mean, don't forget, this is before the internet too. So I mean, it's really going to be just whatever my
Yeah, you never know.
said.
You never really follow these people like that too, because these actors like Evan Lynn Camp and like Linnea Quigley and people like that.
Exactly.
We didn't know them. I didn't know Linnea Quigley was the same girl from Night of the Demons and Return of the Living Dead until later on in life.
Yeah. But yeah, I think people put too much stock in legacy characters and not enough stock in just getting a good movie. I would love to speak to a diehard Scream fan, like a Lacey Lou, and just ask her, would you rather Scream 6 be the best Scream movie ever or star Nev Campbell? You can only have one. I'd be really interested to hear what her answer is.
Well, I would be interested.
Well, they
to see
already
if she
brought back a
says
character
something.
that died already.
That's true too.
Hayden Panettiere. She died in fucking Scream 4.
Maybe she has a twin. Who knows?
You never know.
Well, I'd be
you know?
interested to see if she.
Bring
I'd be
back
interested
Cotton.
to see if. I'd be interested to see if she thinks that outside of like this character of Sydney actually dying in a movie or in a Scream movie where she can't come back. I'm interested to see if Lacey would be like, well, it can't be the best movie without, like give that kind of answer.
That's the other thing too. I mean, would you rather your favorite character be killed off, or just not be in a movie in a chapter or two so that they could make a triumphant return later? Like the fact that the character hasn't been killed off means the door is always open for her to come back, and that kind of mystique could sell future chapters of the movie, especially amongst hardcore fans.
Oh, I'm not going to spoil it, but a TV show that's been around recently kind of did something awesome, and I waited fucking 20 years to see this, and it happened. I'm not going to say.
I think.
Yeah. I'm not going to say what the show is.
Yeah, I know. I already know what you're talking about. A few people probably too. Yeah. That's why I said 19 years. It's exactly 19.
Yeah.
Anyway, I totally agree with you, Derek. That show that you're talking about, I had a nerd erection. That whole final episode, I had equal parts turned on and equal parts sad. It was kind of interesting. I was crying with erection. I don't know that I've ever done that before, but there you go.
Yeah, I was crying when they started because they didn't play like legacy music throughout the whole show, and then they started to play the last episode. So,
Exactly.
why are they playing this right now?
It's like that little sting, that little musical sting in Doctor Strange, in the second Doctor Strange movie. That little
gosh, I got you fucking.
Tell me your nipples didn't get hard when you heard that.
I jumped out of my seat. My sister was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'll tell you later.
Exactly, I did too. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, they kind of did it with Nancy, but then also Alice, and she survived 4 and 5, and then just never showed up in 6. And I remember I did ask her like, hey, did they ever come to you initially about being in 6? Because like you're one of the only ones in this franchise that like you survived and you just weren't there. And she's like, no. She's like, I was never approached to reprise my role. She's like, I probably would have been interested.
Kate too. Did he come back for another movie? The Black Kid?
He was in part 4.
No, he was. What I meant was like someone that survived that just simply didn't show up again. Because Nancy came back, but then she got killed. Right. Alice survived 4 and survived 5, and then just wasn't there.
And then
I know like one of the other scripts of Freddy versus Jason that Alice was supposed to be in it, which would have been interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I guess technically you could say the same about Tommy Jarvis because he survived all 3 and never came back. But I guess the argument you can make about that is like,
which actor would you?
Since Jason wasn't supernatural until he became supernatural in 6. So I guess he thought he was just dead because it's not like Freddy that can haunt your dreams from anywhere. And Tommy Jarvis would have had to like gone back to Crystal Lake to like check on him to see if he was still in the lake, where Freddy just starts coming in your nightmares again, I guess. So I guess that's a little bit.
Well, that entire scene doesn't. That entire opening scene is kind of hard to believe, because if you know how they do it in the real world, when someone is accused of being a serial killer, whether they were tried and convicted or just accused and killed during the investigation, they are not publicly buried. They're buried in a pauper's grave, like a private, unmarked grave. So in the real world, nobody would know where Jason Voorhees was buried. They wouldn't have a fucking headstone says Voorhees on it. Like
that's so hilarious. The headstone.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially like it's not even. It's like just right in the middle of any like run of the mill cemetery.
Yeah, a big cemetery. It looked like there was like a dozen bodies in there, and Jason's one of them. Okay, rock on.
Yeah, as if they would bury him at Crystal Lake after he murdered all these people.
Yeah, or screamed.
Honestly, that whole thing would have made more sense if they added that scene that wasn't added to the movie.
Which one?
Well, the scene that they didn't film with the Jason's father.
Oh, with Elias. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
You know, that wasn't filmed, so it still doesn't make sense, you know.
That's valid.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got off topic.
I mean,
legacy character.
Yeah, I think
is a bad example, though, for a franchise, because we've only really had Tommy. You know, Alice came back to die in the opening scene of part 2, so that doesn't really mean shit. And same thing with the rest of the franchise. You know, it's really just Tommy.
There's only one person that could stop the franchise, and that's Shane Douglas.
Dude, there's going to be about 3 people that get that reference. Me, you, and Neil Lemoy. Neil Lemoy, maybe Willis.
I know it for sure.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wow. Mike's smarter than I thought it was.
I mean, I was watching it back. I was watching wrestling. Back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the prime of my wrestling watching years.
Actually, Dave Z might get it if he still listens to the show.
That's true, too. Yep.
Probably,
yeah, I met that dude when he was still in an ECW. Because I went to college in Pittsburgh. And they used to play, ECW used to play Pittsburgh like 4 times a year. And I always went to go see it. And yeah, some of the best live wrestling I've ever seen was those old ECW shows.
New Jack.
They just had no sense of self-preservation. Just, jump off the fucking scaffolding? Yeah, right. Why not? Jump off the 3rd level of the arena down to the 1st level? Hey, what the fuck? I'll do it.
New Jack's is stabbing a dude in the corner.
Yeah, the staple gun. I was there for New Jack's staple gun attack. One of the many, but I think it was the first one that got like a lot of notoriety because people were like, I don't know if it was true, but people were saying that wasn't part of the job. That he kind of went off script and grabbed that staple gun and just started going off on
Balls Mahoney.
Was it Balls Mahoney? Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't part of.
Did you say this was in a Pittsburgh show or at the arena itself? ECW.
I've been to the ECW arena once in Philadelphia, but ECW would come to Pittsburgh 4 times a year, and they always played at the Golden Dome Arena up in northern Pittsburgh. And I went to see him a couple of times. Just because at the time ECW was so fucking hardcore and crazy, you know, before all the WWF affiliations.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Those are great.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I was gonna say.
I remember finding ECW in syndication on accident and being like around 95 and being like, what the hell is this? And if I would have been older, because I was only like a mid-teenager by then, there's no way I could get myself across the country to like attend it. And they were still small enough that they weren't really touring outside of going up and down the East Coast border yet. Yeah. But I would have been so hyped to actually go to one of their live shows if I had the chance.
Oh, they have like a bunch of the old like pay-per-views and shit on Peacock. I've been watching them on my like downtime, you know. Like they're fucking
I still have pretty much every big show from ECW from like late 94 through 98 on VHS because I used to buy off a website called High Spots.
Yeah.
And it started as a guy dubbing tapes in his college dorm when he was going to college. And eventually his business doing that got so big that he got a cease and desist by like different wrestling organizations. So that stopped. But luckily by the time that happened, I pretty much had bought everything I wanted to buy from him. But Man, the early days of the internet, it was crazy. Like,
wow, we went from
it was a lot more
legacy
primitive, but there was a lot
characters to
of
wrestling.
cool aspects about it.
You noticed that, right? We went way off topic at that
way
burn
off
question.
topic. Big surprise.
Yeah. Oh, some horror fans are wrestling fans, I guess.
But that's
anyways,
what I was going to say is that I've never seen a bigger concentration of horror movie T-shirts than when I went to the ECW shows.
Yeah.
Even when I go to metal shows, you'll still see a bunch of horror movie shirts, but never have I seen as many as at an ECW show. It was pretty amazing.
Oh, that's cool. So, in summary, if anyone's wondering what the burning question topic originally was, I was just basically asking the question based off the Nev Campbell not being in Scream 6 news. It was just a general conversation on how do we feel legacy characters.
Well, they can just replace her with Molly Ringwald.
Yes.
Oh, Molly. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
They could. I mean, the option is there. But yeah, so I guess, if any of the listeners have opinions on legacy characters, their importance to the franchise, if it's different for different franchises, which I imagine it would be for certain people, just depending on how they feel when it comes, it's probably going to be a franchise to franchise
Definitely.
Point of view, depending. So yeah, I guess we can close out on that because we've taken it in every direction, including not even having anything to do with the topic. So that's usually the sign that it's time to move on.
Yeah, we didn't even bring up the
I get blamed for it too because I was fully on board talking about all this stuff. But
we didn't even talk about some terrible usage of legacy characters like Texas Chainsaw 2022. Anybody?
Oh, God.
Mick Garris?
Oh, yeah. Like the shit. We're just going to throw the name. I actually think I originally did have that as one of the bullet point things to bring up. Like, what do you feel about when they just, like, kind of haphazardly, casually, oh, yeah, and this character's returning, not the same actress, and they're just going to kind of show up for 5 minutes to be like, hey, I'm here.
Hellraiser did it.
The worst.
I mean, Ashley Lawrence came back for like part 5 or 6. I don't remember which. She was in the first 2, and then she was gone. And yeah, she came back for like 5 or 6. I can't remember which.
6. I think it was 6.
Yeah, the Hellraiser franchise is so maligned that it's hard. It's hard for me to remember anything past the first 2.
I actually don't mind part 6 though, because it has Dean Winters in it. You know, that guy who does all those Mayhem commercials.
I like all of them in some respect. Like even the last one, which I can admit was garbage, still had elements to it that I really liked. Yeah. I called it a 90-minute Slipknot video because that's what it looked like to me. Like the whole opening scene looked like something that you'd hear Slipknot music playing over top of.
Even the main like the tax guy, whatever the fuck is
what the hell? The Arbiter. The Arbiter? No, not the Arbiter. The Auditor. The Auditor.
Yeah, he looked like fucking awesome. Corey Taylor's mask.
Yes.
That's the director. Yeah, it was the director of the movie too.
That's what I mean. It felt like a Slipknot video, and I am a Slipknot fan, so I'm okay with it. Even though
you know that,
it wasn't a very good movie.
Did you know that? The guy who played that part was the director of the movie.
No, I don't think so.
I found that out after we reviewed it. Like it was literally a couple of weeks after we reviewed it, because we did review it on Fresh Cuts.
Yeah. So. And it's weird and it's crazy if you look up like his history. He's been working on the Hellraiser franchise since like part 3.
Damn.
And doing all the makeup effects and shit.
Oh, that's cool.
Like Darren, what's his name? Darren Lynn Bousman in the Saw franchise. Like he always has a hand in one of the franchises, either as a writer, director, or something.
Ironically, the fucking the movie that just came out this week, The Black Phone, Scott Derrickson's first movie was Hellraiser 5.
Oh God!
Imagine.
Poor guy.
Well, a lot of like those later Hellraiser movies were like scripts that were on the table, like, hey, we got to keep the rights.
Yeah. Let's just make this a Hellraiser movie. Okay.
So I could bring some hot women so I could fuck them. Harvey, saying the Bob Weinstein.
Oh, God. Fat ass Harvey. All right. Well, that's the end of that topic. Harvey Weinstein kills every topic.
Yeah,
I don't know where to go from there.
Kylie Minogue and Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I think we should. So we're going to take a break and make it brief, and we will be right back With Derek, what movies?
Oh, we're doing 2 post-2000 slasher movies that I remember watching, and I just wanted to revisit them because it's been a while, especially with the later movie. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do Cut from 2000 and Drive Through from 2007. Just some posts. I chose like an older one and like a later day one to give the difference of the time periods they came out in. But yeah. So we can talk about those.
Sweet.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
It began as a class project.
We have to do a graduation film, right? What better project than to finish that film?
To resurrect an old film from oblivion.
That movie was a nightmare.
So what you're saying is there's some sort of a curse on this film?
Now, they've made an unexpected discovery of a mysterious legend.
Creepier than Friday the 13th. More blood and guts than Texas Chainsaw.
More sex than deep throat. For you and it.
That should never
Who wants to make a mainstream slasher movie?
see the light of day.
Don't go playing with nightmares.
And action.
I've never said this before, but I've always found you very attractive. Ow!
What would you like to order today? Do you want something meaty?
Did someone say pork?
Do you want it bloody? Would you like fries with that?
I'm on the scene of yet another grisly murder.
You don't believe anything I've told you.
It was a 7-foot clown chasing me with a meat cleaver.
Why would someone dressed as Horny the Clown want to hurt your children?
I am the one person who might be able to stop him.
Order up a slice of horror. Drive Through.
Fast food kills.
Get yours on DVD.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. Promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! And now, on with the show.
Yeah, that's right, folks. We're back. What you heard was probably a mixture of both the trailers for Cut and Drive Through. 2 very different movies, but they do have supernatural hints to them, which is weird. Especially with the second movie. I wasn't expecting that, but we'll get into it when we get into that one. But Cut is an Australian film from 2000 directed by Kimball Rendell. Weird cast for this one since it's an Australian movie. It stars Molly Ringwald in a very small role, fucking Kylie Minogue. Yeah, the basic shitty plot synopsis on IMDb is: a killer begins to stalk the actors of a low-budget horror film, killing them off one by one. It's a little bit more complicated than that when you get later into the movie. But yeah, it ends up there is a killer. There's a history with this killer because when we see the beginning of the movie, it's about a movie that was shut down, and these film students want to finish the movie, and it was like a cursed movie, cursed films, hashtag cursed films, Shudder. But yeah, once they start making this movie, the killings start to happen again, and yeah, life imitates art, pretty much. I'll start with Mike with this one. Mike, was this a first time watch with you? Have you ever seen this? And were you expecting this movie to go in like that weird, crazy, supernatural route at the end?
Yeah, this definitely was the first time I've seen this. No, I wasn't expecting it to go where it went, especially with the supernatural elements. My first thought was, what the hell is Molly Ringwald doing in this movie? And for some reason, maybe it's just because the actual version of the movie I watched, or the cut of the movie, no pun intended, the cut of the movie I watched, I didn't look up like the information on it, so I thought it was like older, like maybe like mid 90s. Like I thought it was more like a immediate like post Scream thing maybe. And I mean 2000 is only 4 years after it, so maybe it still did have some elements of that going on, because I did feel there was a little meta, movie within a movie going on. And I was trying to like piece it up with Molly Ringwald's just career in general, because obviously this is very post John Hughes era, and she was older now, so she obviously couldn't look for those type of roles. So maybe this was her trying to get back into it. This was like one of the movies offered to her at a time. When she initially showed up, I thought, being this was the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, maybe it's one of those like Goodwill Project things that she's doing where, hey, they managed to snag me for like a couple scenes, easy payday, or I'm just doing it out of the goodwill of like, hey, I'm going to help out like a lower budget movie. But no, she's actually in it for much of the movie. And credit to her for whatever reason. And she's prominently featured in this movie. And the supernatural stuff kind of got me by surprise too, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those movies, the mystery of like who's doing the killing on the set of a movie. And when actually it really wasn't that much of a mystery, it was just a straight up kind of slasher of like the set is being terrorized, and now when we go back to reprise or finish the movie, the killer is back in supernatural form. Obviously the lower budget, some of the special effects are less than special, but overall for like the budget and a little, at least it was obscure to me, I didn't know much about this at all, I still had fun with it. Slashers tend to have that kind of effect where as long as you make something fun with decent kills, you're going to get some enjoyment out of it. This isn't trying to be like a deep psychological thriller. It's just pretty much a straight up slasher. So for what it was, I had a fun time with it.
Nice. Venom, was this the first time watch for you?
Yes, sir. First time watch for me. In fact, never even heard of this one before we went into it. Interesting concept. Not to say it's ultra original. We've seen, the movie within a movie concept before, and done a lot better, I might add. I'm pretty much on par with Mike. I mean, this movie isn't something that was like incredibly entertaining. It does have its charm. It does have its entertainment value, especially if you are a fan of like, late 80s, early 90s slashers. I think this one will still speak to you a little bit. I am very disappointed with the lack of kills on screen.
Yeah.
We get a lot of off-screen kills in this, making it kind of feel like a TV movie, which who knows? For all I know, it potentially could have been a TV movie in Aussie, because that's what it feels like. Not to say that it's edited like a TV movie, it still feels like a theatrical film, but just the quality of the acting, the quality of multiple aspects of the film just kind of lends it to be. It just feels like a television movie. Not necessarily an insult, mind you. But yeah, this is a movie that I felt had a lot of potential had it actually gone for it. It seems like their intention here was to make a PG-13 movie that might be more, palatable for younger audiences and potentially bring in more revenue. But ultimately, as I'm watching this movie, I'm just wondering who the target market for it is. It's like, if you're a teenager, even as a teenager, this movie feels like a lot of been there, done that.
Yeah.
And but ultimately, I still had a good time with it. I still had some fun with it. There's some funny moments. I think the projectionist, I was probably my favorite character in the movie. Just a complete psycho, a total like conservative psycho. I thought it was awesome. Unfortunately, we don't spend much time with him. That kind of sucks. But yeah, all in all, a decent little movie. I don't know that it's anything I'll ever return to, but it definitely left me wanting more, as far as more kills, more killer, and definitely more. I hate to say explanation necessarily, but both of the movies this week I have kind of the same problem with, and that's a lack of an explanation of the supernatural element. There is a distinct supernatural element to this movie, and as the movie viewer, you're just expected to accept it. Just, the suspension of disbelief, accept it and move on. But, as I am a 50-plus-year-old horror fan, I like to look deeper into my films. And when I see a movie like this where there's a distinct supernatural element and then we get no explanation, it's just, oh, that's how it is. It's not ultra satisfying. But I will say I did like the mask. I love the weapon. The weapon that this killer uses, I think, is really cool. The combination shears with like a almost like a dagger or or a bayonet type thing at the end of the shears. I thought that was really cool. It looks menacing. It's scary. I mean, when the killer is standing in front of you, opening it and closing it, that's distinctly menacing, especially in the first scene with Kylie Minogue. I will say the killer kind of loses his steam as the movie goes along. Once we start realizing who this killer is and, what connection they have to the original production of the film within a film. I think it was called Hot Blooded, right? Hot Blooded was the name of the movie that they were trying to finish here. So like I said, the movie, it's one of those, I mean, you called it a cheesy slasher earlier during your introduction. It's a perfect description, ultimately. I can't think of a better way to describe this movie. It's a cheesy slasher. Some people are going to like it more than others. Nobody's going to write home about it. It's not going to be anybody's favorite horror movie necessarily, but I could see a lot of people having a warm spot for this one, As I've said already, it has its charm, and it wasn't a drag to watch. It's only an hour and 23 minutes long. It's a quick watch. And, for whatever it's worth, a decent little killer. I just would have liked to have seen more, both about the killer and even more with the killer in modern times. Like, I just feel like we didn't even just get enough of them in general.
Yeah.
But, ultimately not a terrible movie, not by any stretch. Just, it's a cheesy slasher. You get what you pay for.
Yeah. I actually really like the mask of the killer too. What loses me with this one is when the mask is off and he looks like a member of the Raisinets.
Oh shit.
But I do like the aspect of how they actually take the killer down in this movie. It's actually interesting.
Very much.
It kind of reminds me of like something similar to this would be like Hellraiser 2 where Frank in the picture, where you burn the picture and Frank loses his image, and this is kind of the same thing. He's coming alive because of the film.
Yeah, this is very much a take on the portrait of Dorian Gray. The story of the man who wouldn't age as long as he kept the picture. And the portrait would age for him. I mean, this is kind of almost the same thing. It's just, it's with a film instead of a portrait. So
yeah. So I do like that aspect of it. It's kind of a cool little twist for like these kind of movies during this time period. We weren't seeing it. It was mostly like, oh, it was my best friend's sister who was the killer. It was the last big killer's mother. It would be that would have been like the twist in these type of movies during this time period. I did like that they tried to go a little route. It could have been explained a little bit better. I do agree with you on that.
Yeah.
The lack of kills does hurt this one.
I would have liked to have
on-screen
seen.
kills.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more hesitation from Molly Ringwald too, or Molly Ringwald's
comes off
character.
so bitchy.
Well, that part of the performance I love. I've met Molly Ringwald. She's an absolute sweetheart. She is not at all like the person in this movie, but it's fucking terrifying to see how good she is at it. Like, she is such a good cunt that you would actually believe that she is one in real life. It's so amazing. Even though, most of us know she's not like that in real life. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So that part of the performance, absolutely. But yeah. I agree with you on the final, the finale of the movie, like how they killed him. I really like that. I thought that was a cool original concept. I just would have liked to have seen, even if you don't necessarily explain how the killer is in the situation that he's in, but explain to me how it started. Like, that's the thing that gets me. Because we get the cold open where we see that the guy who actually plays the killer in Hot Blooded ends up snapping and killing Kylie Minogue. And that I don't need an explanation for. That, it's right there on the screen. One person disliking another to the point of murder. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. My question is, how did he first come back? Like, there's a story there to be told that we didn't get. Now, I don't know if the writers just didn't think that the audience would care enough, or maybe they weren't good enough writers to be able to write a compelling backstory to why or how this killer keeps coming back. Well, we know how. It's just really the why. Like, why did this start happening, and why does it continue to happen? So a little bit of that would have made me enjoy the movie a little bit more. I've said it before. I like a little ambiguity in my films, but just a little. This one has a lot. This one is almost too much. Like, we get the quote unquote human backstory of the killer, but we don't get the supernatural backstory of the killer, and that's what I think the audience wanted to see. So, it's a minor gripe ultimately. I don't know how much more enjoyment I would have gotten out of the movie had they explained the things I wanted explained, but it's still a pretty fun movie with some pretty attractive actresses in it too. And hey, there's a couple good-looking fellas too, so there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
And how old is Molly Ringwald here? She's got to be like late 30s, right? Maybe older.
Kylie Minogue. Who, Kylie Minogue?
Well, either one of them, Kylie or Molly. Like, aren't they like at least late 30s at this point?
2000, maybe?
Yeah, she's got to be close because 68 was when she was born.
Oh yeah, so she's 30. So she's 32 in 2000. Okay, 32 is not as old as I thought. So she looks her age then. I thought she was older and looked really good for her age. But I mean, not to say she doesn't look good. Don't get me wrong. But
she was actually born up here.
What's that?
Fun fact that no one would need to care about. She was actually born like in my area.
Oh, Sacktown,
California. Technically, it's a suburb of Sac called Roseville, but Sacramento for anyone that's not from here. Yeah.
And if you were curious, Michael, because you questioned it earlier, Molly Ringwald, this is actually her second horror movie. She was also in a 1997 horror film called Office Killer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with Carol Kane.
Office Killer, because wasn't she? I mean, I don't know if that's the one. Because is that thriller where she actually went topless in? Is that the one?
Maybe.
Because she was definitely, because they made a big deal about that. Because I think during her big run of movies, she never did nudity, and then they're like, "Oh, Molly Ringwald's nude in this," but yeah. I mean, she had a good stretch, but do you think that she just got typecast? So she struggled in the second half of her career trying to find roles because everyone was like, well, we know the type of character you play, and that's not this movie.
It's funny. We just spent, 20 minutes on a tirade about the Scream movies, and do you guys know who the original choice for Sydney was?
Molly Ringwald?
Well, now
Molly fucking Ringwald. See, and that's funny too, because we talk about like Mike making the comment of, oh, it's so great that she did this movie, and Mike was talking about the potential popularity of Scream. I would venture to guess that she did this movie because she missed out on Scream. She missed out on the mega big horror blockbuster that would have brought her back into back from obscurity. But then she missed out on the Scream boat. And she actually declined Scream, too. It's not like she didn't get the role. She was the number one option that Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven wanted for Sydney, and she turned it down. And I just read, literally today or yesterday, I just read why she turned it down, and I forgot already. It wasn't about
I'm
being
interested to
typecast.
know why.
Yeah, damn it, I can't remember why, but she was absolutely... I think it was a YouTube video that I watched about Sydney Prescott. And they were talking about all the different people that have tried out, like Melissa Joan Hart, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She tried out for Nev Campbell's role for Sydney.
Imagine.
So, imagine, exactly.
Sabrina
Molly Ringwald, I
Fine.
can see, because, I don't know. Molly, oh, that was the reason, right. Because Molly Ringwald was 27 years old when Scream was shot, and she said she didn't want to play any more high school students. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it was
looked
a
it
horror
up.
movie. She just didn't want to be typecast as a high school student. Which is so dumb.
I can understand. I can understand. Well, I guess in hindsight, there was no way to know Scream would be such a blockbuster. Even though Wes Craven being attached would give you, Wes Craven being attached would be the big indication that maybe you should do it. But maybe she just wasn't thinking about that. And she thought, hey, I'm in my late 20s. If I go and play a teenager again, I'll never escape it.
That's probably her.
Because there's a 6-year difference between her and Nev. I looked up their birth dates.
Yeah.
So Nev Campbell was at least a significant amount of years younger to make sense to play a teenager.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I also don't know about that either, Mike, because it's Wes Craven. He did do Serpent and a Rainbow. Come on now.
Yeah.
That was after. Was that after Scream? No, that was before Scream.
No, that was before.
Yeah, and Shocker.
Oh, don't remind me about Shocker, for God's sakes.
Deadly Friend, People Under the Stairs, that era.
I kind of liked Deadly Friend. I didn't love it, but I kind of liked it, if I remember.
I liked it because
Deadly Friend's like very cornrevball, but it's still fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fun stuff in it.
I love BB.
BB.
We should review
Christy
that one.
Swanson's first movie,
maybe.
I think.
Oh man.
Anne Ramsey too.
Oh yeah, she was fantastic.
She's awesome at everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, great. You guys ready to talk about Horny the Clown?
Yes, let's get to Horny.
All right. Venom, remember when you off air when Mike was away, when you said that they're glad they didn't make a pun with a certain cameo in this movie?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to worry because the synopsis of Drive Thru does that for you.
Oh, really? I didn't read it.
All right. Horror gets supersized when Horny the Clown, the demonic mascot of Helleberger, starts slashing Orange County teenagers with meat cleaver from hell. Yeah. I'll go first on this one. This is a movie I used to watch all the time when I was younger on FearNet. Do you guys remember FearNet?
Yes.
Yeah, this was on there. And, if there was nothing, new or on, I would just throw, one of the shitty, movies on there. And this is one of them. And I haven't seen this movie in years. And, boy, I forgot a lot about this movie. I forgot there was two wiggers in the beginning. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I forgot the soundtrack's fucking awful. That's the one thing that I'll say. The soundtrack to this movie's fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But, I kind of like Horny the Clown. He's not original. A lot of his puns have been used. And it's pretty much this movie uses a lot of, tropes. Ironically, I actually haven't seen a few of the movies that this movie uses the tropes of.
Mm-hmm.
But the ending, it's Happy Birthday to Me with the birthday party. Nightmare on Elm Street, the moms and the friends did something bad a long time ago. It's stuff like that where it's very tropey, this film. But man, I love when the fucking head split.
Yeah.
There's some good kills in this movie, unlike the other one, that kind of make up for all the shittiness of the characters and the music. It keeps me interested. And, spoiler alert, this actually has a fun use of a cameo, which I wasn't expecting. And I actually like the cameo in the movie. I'll go the Venom this time. Venom, was this a first time watch for you?
Yes, sir. Once again, first time watch. This one I had heard of. I remember seeing the poster and thinking, it looks like another clown horror movie. So I was never really driven to see it, unless I needed to see it for a show. But yeah, so first time watch for me. Really, really liked Horny. I thought his design was cool. I thought that the fact that they used his voice as one of those drive-through speakers that they use the drive-through speaker is I thought that was clever as shit. I like that a lot because that's menacing. I mean, it's one thing to hear like a high-pitched, screechy clown voice, but to actually, because it almost reminds me of the Black Phone. For those who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. For those who haven't, I'm not going to explain it here, but just that voice that sounds like it's coming over a loudspeaker or a telephone or something, just for some reason comes off as slightly more menacing to me. Like they're not actually there, but they're standing right there in front of you. It's got a weird sense of scope to it. Horny I thought was great. There's some really cool kills here. I mean, we get a nice face peel very early on, But yeah, this band, this music is awful. Wow. That band playing at the beginning. Mike made a joke about that it was the Hellbender band. In one of our private chats, Mike made a joke that is this the Hellbender band? And I'm like, the Hellbender band blows this band away. Holy shit. This thing was awful. Luckily, we don't have to hear them playing throughout the entire movie like we do with Hellbender, but I did say that the Hellbender music did get better as the movie went along. This one does not, unfortunately. It starts bad and it stays bad. That's going to be one of the weakest points of this movie because there are some pretty cool kills in this. I like that the name of the town is Blanca Carne, white meat. Yeah. That is fucking awesome. A town called White Meat. Oh my God. That was, I just laughed my ass off when I saw that. And it was nice. I'm also a big fan of The Office. So to actually see a character from The Office play the mom in this movie, I thought was pretty cool. A mom who actually had a pretty good plot point because she's kind of the catalyst of everything that's going on. Once we get the reveal of why Horny is doing all this, her role in it is very large. So, and I've always liked that actress. I can't name the actress's name, but I like that actress for whatever.
Laura Harden.
Thank you. Yeah, great looking actress. Plays a really, really good bitch. This is the first time I actually saw her play a somewhat quote unquote normal character. She's just a mom, fairly even keel. Yeah, she has a dark secret, but that doesn't really come into play until the end of the movie. So yeah, like I said, between the coolness of the killer, another cool weapon. So that's 2 movies in a row with a really cool weapon. I love Horny's blade in this one. I thought that was really great. Like I said, some great kills, some kills that could have been better. Someone actually gets cut in half in this movie, and I feel like they had the right shot, but then they lost it. Because it's like they had to have, you have to have that shot when you cut someone in half where the top half of the body slides off the bottom half of the body. But I think that they missed a major opportunity with this because what they should have done, in my opinion, plus it would have helped save some special effects budget too, is after Horny took the swing to cut that person in half, and then he turns around to look at the camera while still blocking the person that he just killed. In the movie, Horny steps to the right. He takes one step to the right to show the person still in one piece, and then the top half kind of slides off, which, it's obviously CG. Whereas I thought what they should have done was Horny should have taken the swipe, and then turned around and not moved. And then what we could have seen is just the top half of the body kind of falling to the side behind Horny. And then that would eliminate the need for CG and, you know, the shitty blue screen or whatever they had to use. And I feel like it would have been a more compelling shot because it ends up getting played kind of silly. It, like, you know, when he first swipes, it's awesome. But then when he moves out of the way and you see the body split into two pieces, it becomes hokey. And it's like, if they would have gone with the more hidden shot, I just feel like it would have kept the seriousness of the scene at a high level rather than going for the campiness of it. Morgan Spurlock wasn't terrible. I mean, you know, luckily it was a quick cameo. But, you know, the fact that the guy who did Super Size Me is now playing a fast food manager, I thought that was pretty cool. But, you know, when I first saw him in the credits, I cringed because I thought we were going to get a Super Size Me joke at some point in the movie, especially once I saw that he was the fast food restaurant manager. I'm like, shit, we're going to get a Super Size Me joke. And we didn't. And I love that. Like Derek said, we got it in the synopsis, not actually in the film. So credit to the film for that one. And then one question I have is, does Sean Whalen have bad teeth in every movie he's in? Almost every movie that I could name off the top of my head with Sean Whalen in it, he's got shitty teeth. He takes
the same prop teeth from movie to movie.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, his teeth from People Under the Stairs were really atrocious. But then there was another movie that he did more recently, I can't fucking remember, where he had bad teeth again, and it wasn't nearly as bad as People Under the Stairs. But yeah, I even looked through his IMDb, and I'm like, yep, bad teeth, bad teeth, bad teeth. Like every fifth role is somebody with bad teeth. I'm like, why does he keep playing people with bad teeth? Is he just good at it?
I'm trying to remember if his teeth were bad in Python.
Python, I don't remember, yeah. It's been so... I've only seen that one once.
Yeah, there's so many fucking people in that movie, too. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Hey, did you notice that there's somebody in this movie dressed as Michael Myers?
Yes.
Okay. That wasn't just me. Okay. I'm like, is that motherfucker wearing Michael's jumpsuit? I guess it is. Holy shit. I thought the microwave kill was a great idea that just ended up looking bad in execution. Like that's the biggest problem with Drive Thru is going to be its poor CGI, I think, because I like the story. You know, it's not a foolproof story by any stretch. It's not like expertly written or anything, but I mean, for an early 2000s slasher, it's decent. It's got a supernatural element to it. Once again, doesn't really get much of an explanation. We get an explanation as to who Horny the Clown is and why he's doing the things he's doing, but we don't really get an explanation of the supernatural element of how, you know, he's here after, you know, we thought he was gone, blah, 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 blah. So that's really going to be my biggest complaint of the two movies is just the lack of explanation, a little bit too much ambiguity for me. But ultimately, I had a lot better time with Drive Thru. I liked Horny. I liked the kills. I liked the blood. Not too many of the characters in the film bothered me. The stupid white kids who thought they were black kids at the beginning. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do about those guys? And then,
Give them a nickel plate. Oh.
And then just all the terrible decision making throughout the movie. You know, drinking and wielding guns. You know, that's always a winning combination, right? It's
Mackenzie's
like
ass.
It's just awful. Characters constantly splitting up in this movie, even commenting on it. Like, should we split up? Maybe we should stay together. No. We'll cover more ground if we split up. Yeah, whatever. There are a few. Oh, and that's the last thing I'm going to complain about, at least for now, is the green screen. Why the fuck did they use green screen during that final scene? It made no sense. They were actually using the background of the actual restaurant they were in, but for some reason there were a couple of close-ups of Horny where it was a green screen restaurant behind it. Obviously, that could have been like a pickup shot that was done later, but it's like, why even bother? It was such a meaningless shot. It just bothered me. It's like, when filmmakers use techniques that are pretty much frivolous or add nothing to the movie, I always question why they used it. And if you watch this scene, it's only the one scene at the end when Horny has somebody tied to a chair. And then they show close-ups of Horny. When you look at the close-ups, the background is green screened in, even though they're just in a regular fast food restaurant, like nothing special. There's no fire in the background or anything. So again, some weird filmmaking choices, but ultimately a fun movie, a little bit more fun than Cut. This is one that I may see myself coming back to. Maybe if I ever do like a Killer Clown episode, I could definitely see myself going back to Horny the Clown. But so yeah, overall, I had a more fun time with this one. I think it's more obvious most people are going to have more fun with this one because of the nature of Horny and, everything else, and the fact that we actually get on-screen kills. So yeah, I had a good time with Drive Thru.
Yay! Michael, was this a first time watch for you?
Oh, it is. But I'm like, when you have a killer clown involved, not necessarily from outer space, doesn't hurt, but killer clowns are usually going to be a fun time. And in this case, it was pretty fun. I mean, this clown, his head or face or mask or whatever kind of looked like a combination. It looked somewhat killer clownish, a little, almost like a more evil looking killer clown mask, maybe made on like a budget, but man, it's like I just feel I was kind of surprised to see Meester in this, Leighton Meester, because she was like during this time, this was what, 2007, I think.
Right,
yeah, 2000
right before Gossip Girl, right?
Yeah, it seemed like she was like one of those actresses that was on the verge of being like an it girl, like a next big thing, but then it kind of just didn't happen. And who's that other one that looks kind of like her? Is it Minka Kelly that they kind of look similar, where she was like also supposed to be like potentially the next big thing? But
yeah.
You give me a killer clown movie where the clown's name is Horny the Clown, and I'm probably going to be watching it just out of curiosity at that point, because I'm like, that's not an accident that they named him Horny the Clown. The Marcia Carpenter, Melora Hardin that plays Marcia Carpenter, I recognize her as the mom from The Hot Chick, if you remember that Rob Schneider movie.
Oh, gosh.
She was Rachel McAdams. So Rachel McAdams was in that movie, and she was her mom. And because I was like, she looks so familiar. I was like, where have I seen? Because she's older than the rest of the cast, at least just by appearance. So I was like, what could she have been in? And yeah, The Hot Chick, which came out in 2002. So unfortunately, I guess her career was like on the downward trajectory.
Well, hey, she got The Office. She was on The Office for its entire run, so that's a success.
Yeah,
I knew her as Jan from The Office, and instantly, like literally the second she was on screen, I'm like, it's Jan, yay.
Yeah, Sean Whalen's another guy that like it's weird when you recognize people from some like bigger movies and they show up and stuff like that, because you never really know. It's like, are they just doing it because it looked like a fun script to them, or are they struggling to find other stuff? But yeah, he's always good. I think it's like, you in a movie like this that's lower budget, a little more under the radar, it always helps bring legitimacy when you have recognizable faces. And I think it does help out the movie. Like, you have legitimate talent in the movie where with worse circumstances, you could have had totally unknowns that don't go on to do anything else or never did anything else before it. But I think the cast helps like elevate the material here. And like I said, a killer clown, that's the clown itself, Horny the Clown, it's pretty decent depiction of like a killer clown out for blood, I think the movie probably hits higher marks than I would have expected it to. I think I already mention it was a first time watch for me? Yep. If not, it's probably pretty obvious by how I'm describing things.
Were you shocked that Morgan Spurlock was in the movie?
Yeah, this movie, I feel it punches above its mark, like how entertaining it ended up being. So much credit to Drive Thru. Nice. Was this one on? Yeah. Where did you see this? Is this the one? I'm now starting to blend like our comments on both movies. Are you saying this is the one you throw on Fear Net or Cut?
No, Fear Net. This is the one.
Okay, yeah, because this makes sense. This seems like something in that era that would be, because people in the pre-Shudder era, because I know a lot of younger people were probably growing up like with access to Shudder, but before then, like FearNet was like one of the places that would stream movies or at least have movies available. Because I remember always browsing the website just to see what was on there. I believe like Robert Englund did like a series on there where he was like some maniacal either. Fear Clinic, right? That was it. And FearNet was always cool. Like not everything on there was good, but just to have some place in the digital world that was like, hey, we're producing horror content, so check back in and find stuff. And I always had hopes that like they would become like bigger and just keep growing, you know.
That's where I saw a lot of like the Asian horror movies that gravitated to me was on FearNet. Like I actually picked up a lot of those Asian horror movies that were on there so I could rewatch them after it fucking went off, because I saw One Missed Call there for the first time. Fucking one of the Ju-on. I think I saw all the Ju-ons on there like before that. They pretty much had a lot of the Lionsgate library, because a lot of the movies I noticed that I picked up were Lionsgate that were on. Even Drive Thru's Lionsgate. So yeah, those are good times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Decent kills too. Yeah.
Yeah, I could live without the birthday party scene at the end, because we've seen that in multiple movies, but yeah, I'm sure it's not the last time we'll see it. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I actually didn't see Happy Birthday to Me when I first seen this, but then I seen 4 other movies before this one came out do it, and then I'm like, oh shit, I can see people hating this if they've seen all the other movies that did this already. Yeah. Like even like Madhouse from the same year from Happy Birthday to Me did the same thing. The
ending of this one didn't do a whole lot for me, if I remember. It's been a few weeks since I watched the movie, but I remember thinking, like, if burning him didn't kill him when he was alive, why is burning him now work better? Like, it does. Like, now that he's a supernatural monster, why is burning him effective as opposed to when he was alive and slightly mentally challenged, and that didn't kill him? So I don't know. There's a lot of suspension, and ultimately, I don't know how spoilery
well, technically, the Horny the Clown we see at the very end is not the original Horny the Clown, I don't think.
Right. Either. No, he killed the original Horny or something. I because I have it written down here in my notes, but even my notes don't make sense. So this movie definitely has a lot to be desired, but ultimately it is a fun little slasher. I do enjoy it. Good original kills, a good killer. Decent characters. You get your normal bunch of hateable characters, but you get a couple of likable ones too, just like the standard horror cast. So overall I had a good time with this one, even though story-wise this one left me wanting even more than Cut did. I still had a better time with this one, I'd say.
Honestly, I would like a sequel to this one that would explain a lot more.
Yes, I would actually love a sequel. Give me like a really hardcore sequel, especially because it's like so many years. We're 15 years removed from this movie. That's a good time to do a sequel, or a reboot, whatever, if you want to just retell the story from the beginning. But yeah, there's potential for a franchise with Horny the Clown. It's just his one-liners need to be a little bit less hokey. And, a little bit more like menacing or cryptic or something.
Yeah.
But still entertaining. Still very entertaining.
I bet you didn't like that Shining pun you made.
That was interesting. I mean, to see, especially because on Fresh Cuts just a week ago, we reviewed a movie that is basically a Shining ripoff, but it's one of the worst movies I've seen this year. So to actually see a Shining reference in this one, and one that I kind of agreed with, I'm like, all right, I'll take it.
I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
I'm just gonna bash it right the fuck in. Yeah, that was good. I liked it.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you liked that one. Yeah, it has some of the stuff hasn't aged well in it, but I still had fun with it.
Yeah. Exactly. These are the kind of movies that if you saw them when they were new and you were young, they definitely leave an impression.
Yeah.
for me, it's stuff like Night of the Living Dead and a lot of like the 70s, mid to late 70s horror. That was the stuff that was the most impressionable on me. But if you were born in the 90s and the early 2000s is where you like discovered your horror love, then yeah, I would imagine you would look back at these movies much more fondly. We're watching them for the first time in 2022, trying to be as objective as possible, but obviously if we would have seen it, this is a movie that if I would have seen new and I was younger when it came out, because I was already 2007, Jesus, I was
30s?
already fucking. Yeah, I was already I was already 35 almost. Jesus, fuck, I was old. So yeah, so I played. But if I was in my 20s when this movie first came out, I probably would have liked it a lot, and I probably would have had that attachment to it over the years. So I can see the love. I can see where the love comes from, in other words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also the era, like a different era where, I mean, I guess 2007 we're coming up to the end of like that initial internet time, but because now there's just so much stuff readily available, that movies like this probably get lost in the shuffle a lot more. But back then, like discovering something like this, as decent and on a streaming platform or just a digital platform, it was probably a bigger deal, and it probably was more likely that it'd get featured prominently, right? As to where, like, let's say this was made in 2022, dropped on Netflix among like 500 other similar movies with similar budgets, and it's on. You have to scroll through 10 pages to get to it. It'd be harder just to even discover it in the first place.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that is something that, like, I know as we get older, I mean, we're all at various ages, the three of us, but as you get older, you tend to like romanticize aspects of growing up. But I mean, there is some truth to the fact that like having less choices to just find media outside of going to the theater or the rental store, like a lot of times for me it was like, hey, whatever the hell HBO or Cinemax or Showtime decides to play, if not that, AMC or FX or either Turner Classic Movies or something, like what they could license cheaply was basically what I had access to. And at midnight on a Thursday or a Saturday or something, if a movie like Drive Thru is on there, it's probably what I'm watching, as opposed to now where it's like there's more services than I can count. There's so many movies out there that I scroll by that like I just don't have the time to watch. So something like this might entirely get missed if it comes out now.
Yeah, that's true too.
Moral of the story is watch it, right? I think we're all saying, hey, check it out.
Yeah,
it's a fun movie.
Recommend Drive Thru. Watch Cut if you have extra time. But yeah, recommend Drive.
If you're a Molly Ringwald fan, watch Cut.
Yes. I am a Molly Ringwald fan, and I barely could recommend Cut even to a Ringwald fan.
I'm kind of curious to check out Office Killer.
Yeah, I think Cut there is. The fact that she is in it, though, I will say, kind of like right when I discovered that, it gave like a initial fascination with it, because I looked up when it was made, and it's obviously a big departure year-wise from like when she was widely known for being in the Brat Pack. And it's like, okay, after all these years, and you see probably like this gap in her work, not that she wasn't doing anything, but just not very prominent stuff. And it's like, okay, now she's just in this Australian lesser known horror movie. So right then and there, I was kind of fascinated. Now, of course, that could be just an age thing, because at least me and Venom were old enough to like watch her Brat Pack stuff like when it was coming out. Probably more Venom so than me, but we legitimately knew her as one thing just because of how she was typecast. And it's like, wait a minute, what is she doing in this movie?
Well, now that we know she missed out on Scream, I think that kind of explains why she took this movie.
Oh, man.
I'm kind of curious to check out this Office Killer movie, though.
I am, too. Yeah, I'm going to look for it myself.
I'm going to rent this.
Yeah, if it's the one I'm thinking about, because I got to admit, I look.
Oh, it's got a powerhouse. Yeah, Carol Kane, Molly Ringwald, and Janine Triplehorn. That's
nice.
They have a fucking lesbian orgy together.
Thanks.
I know the one I'm thinking of. She was actually the villain. I'm pretty sure. But
and even got fucking Christopher in it, Michael Imperioni. There we go.
Oh yeah. Or Spider from Goodfellas.
Dance, Spider, dance.
Michael. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, those are my picks.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Hey.
Well,
at least no one hates me like Mike's picks yet. Speaking of which, is it Mike's turn or is it Venom's turn next?
I hope it's mine, but I don't know. Because if it's mine, I already got my movies picked, but I don't remember what we did last episode. If those was that my spring break movies?
Yeah.
Oh no,
it's Mike's Ruins last time.
Oh no, it's Mike's picks
it's
now.
Mike's picks. All right, I'm gonna be sick next episode.
We got summer series, and we could postpone it for a while. Then
there you go. We'll
so
talk to you.
Are you saying there's no more room in hell for No More Room in Hell now?
There's no more room in hell for Mike's picks. Yep.
Then my picks shall walk the earth.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for these movies and episode 46 of No More Room in Hell. But before we get out of here, hopefully with all the time that's gone by since our last episode, there's plenty of stuff for our host to plug. So I'll start with you, Venom. What's going on with your podcast and where can people find you?
All right. We'll start off with the No More Room in Hell family. First off, No More Room in Hell presents Creature Comforts, episode 10. Will be out very shortly. I am just putting the finishing touches on the edit now, so it should be out as you listen to this episode. The latest episode of Creature Comforts will be out. On this episode, we look at Gareth Edwards' 2010 film Monsters. This was one of his first full production films. It's the movie that actually got him the directing gig for Legendary's Godzilla in 2014. So if you're wondering what got this director the Godzilla gig, check out the movie and our review. Should be out, like I said, as you listen to this episode. No More Room in Hell presents Fresh Cuts, of course, our weekly show where we look at the newest releases in the genre. Our last episode, we looked at a film called The Overnight, which was a VOD release. And this week, we actually have a theatrical film that we've all already watched, and that is, of course, Ethan Hawke in The Black Phone. I actually just got out of the theater literally about an hour before we started recording this episode, so it's still very fresh in my head. So we'll be recording that episode of Fresh Cuts tomorrow, and it should be released the next day, so check that out. And then as far as guest spots go for me, I have a guest spot on The Dark Parade, once again with Mr. Bo Ransdell. I get the opportunity to review my favorite Universal classic horror film, which is The Bride of Frankenstein. And I believe that is the latest episode of The Dark Parade to get released, so check that out. And that's about all I got, Mike.
Okay, Derek, what do you have for people to check out?
Honestly, not much. I haven't really been recording. Just time and stuff lately. It's been getting in the way, and actually, ironically enough, we were supposed to record Cinema Attack the night before this recording. It wasn't me this time. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'm glad it wasn't me this time. Yeah, we should be back soon. We might be just gonna think of a new show to do because we waited so long to do these fucking movies, and I'm like, I can't watch these again. They're all subtitled. Well, I could watch them again, but not in this time span. You know what I mean? But anyways, that's beside the point. We'll be back soon with a new show. We're not sure what we're going to be covering yet. We're going to talk about that. But all I have really is Monsters, which, yeah, I actually made a pun earlier in this show about that movie. So listen to find out more about that.
So many tentacles.
Yeah. Luminescence of love. But and also I actually do have an episode of Dark Parade That should be out. Where me and Bo talked about the Invisible Man, the original Universal monster movie with the Mr. Claude Rains. Nice. And the only Universal monster with a high body count.
Yeah, very high because of that damn train accident.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, that's it.
Okay, yeah. As far as me, I don't really got nothing besides Fresh Cuts coming out weekly, and this show. I will say I am working on a little side cast that. Nope, no time for that amount of TV anymore. But it's going to be under the No More Room in Hell banner. I just don't want to say too much about it.
Evil Episodes presents the movies.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Where you just review TV movies.
Oh shit! Hey, that's a decent idea, actually.
Yeah, that's actually, good.
Stop giving Mike ideas.
He's texting Jamie and Brian right now.
Yep.
Let's get the band back together.
But yeah, it's actually a little different than what I've been doing as far as the format of the show. Well, no, I don't even play enough video games. I'd have to talk about the same game 5 episodes in a row because I barely have time to play it.
There you go. You could do it.
Yeah, same with me. Yeah. I've never been into playing multiple games at once. I want to play one, finish it, move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what keeps me buying. There's so many games coming out that I want, but I had to just tell myself, you need to finish what you have first, or you're just gonna have or I'm gonna end up with a stack of games I just look at.
Coming soon, Lego DC Villains.
Nice.
Episode 1.
Yeah, but it should be. It's going to be recording actually pretty soon, so I would say within the next week or two, the first episode of that'll drop. It will be under the No More Room in Hell banner though, so it'll get the old No More Room in Hell. No More Room in Hell presents on the show.
I want to hear all about this when we're off here.
Yeah.
Constantly expanding the umbrella, I guess. So I don't know. With that said, yeah, my picks are up next. I have no idea what I'm gonna pick. I'm just glad we finally got this episode.
Both star Bruce Willis
recorded. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. So thank you everybody for listening. The Lake of Fire is beckoning us, so we will return to it now. Be back as soon as possible with episode 47. But until then, I don't know.
I'm gonna go
say something more clever than me, Venom.
I'm gonna go find a Hella Burger because that place had burgers, fries, wings, and tacos in the same place. That's my go-to.
I just want to try a Monster Hella Burger. It just sounds awesome. I haven't eaten a cheeseburger in fucking years because of my physicalities. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, when they describe that burger, I'm like, sounds interesting. Sounds like a cardiac arrest waiting to happen.
That's your last meal.
Are you on a no red meat regimen? Period.
No, red meat I can eat all day. I can't eat any. Bread is the main thing. I avoid cheese and dairy almost completely. And any of the condiments I couldn't do. So I could eat a turkey burger on wheat bread with no cheese. Yeah, I mean that's not even a burger really. So I just don't eat them.
Damn.
I did have an awesome grilled chicken taco bowl at Trejo's Tacos in Hollywood this weekend, though. That'll be my
feel alive after?
Oh, I felt awesome. Oh, God, I felt like I could take on the cartel with a machete.
Machete. You started just talking like Danny Trejo after you ate one.
Oh, that'd be awesome. What I want is his chest tattoo to appear on my chest as I eat his food. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you even have your own Funko Pop now and shit.
Right? Oh, I'm so happy. I turn the camera on. Where's my camera?
Alrighty. Well, with that said, we're gonna.
I tried to turn on the camera and I left.
Aww. The camera has no chill. Oh, there you are.
There you are.
Oh wait, let me turn off the filter. Crap.
If for the list. listeners, Venom is surrounded by pumpkins in a gate to Gozar's orgy room. There he is, Mr. Venom.
Oh, yeah, the Mr. Venom Funko Pop.
It's hard to see because of the lighting, but yeah, I'm holding a deck of cards and my podcasting headset.
I can't
the goatee is a little bit lighter color than the hair because most of my goatee is silver at this point, but my hair is still jet black.
So how do they do that? You just send them a picture and they make it?
Oh, no, you do it right there in the store. It's actually like a big old long process where you...
It's a Build-A-Bear, but for Funko Pop?
Almost exactly, yeah. It's almost like a Build-A-Bear. Like,
I know what I'm doing when I go to Cali now.
You can do it in Cali. I think there's one in New York, and I think there's like 3 Funko stores in the country. Hollywood obviously is the one I go to, but yeah. I'm a fanatic. For those who don't know, I'm a gigantic Funko Pop fanatic. I've got multiple large storage bins filled with cataloged pops. I've got 1, 2, 3 large DVD racks filled with Funko Pops. I have a problem, folks. I am a corporate whore.
I have a Biollante.
Well, it doesn't hurt that they're not, like, if you buy them when they're brand new, they're really not that expensive.
And they go up in value. That's the great thing. Very few Funko Pops drop in value. Not that I really have any plan of selling them anytime soon, but if I ever do need the money, I've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of Funko Pops that I could throw on eBay and make a quick bit of money if I need it. But yeah, I've got a couple that are worth over $1,000. I've got one that's worth $2,000. What else? I think I've got one that's over, my original Godzilla's over $1,200. So yeah, I've got some Funko Pops that are worth a lot of money.
Do you have the Sharknado one?
Is there a Sharknado Pop?
Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
I would love that. That's funny. That's one I didn't know about. That's pretty cool. Is it actually like a tornado with sharks in it?
It has one shark in it with a tornado.
They got to put more sharks in there. But yeah, Funko Pops. I have a problem, like I said. If I actually did the math, I could probably buy a Buick with the amount of money I've spent on Funko Pops. That's fucking sad. I know.
He's a beaut, ain't he? Well, I think it's time to go, Mike.
Yeah, let's go.
Or it just turns into the Funko Pop podcast at the end of the show.
Yeah.
We'll be announcing that soon.
There was a period where I was buying a bunch, but ever since working from home, it's slowed me down. But I still try to look out for anytime there's like store exclusives. I try to get those because usually once they're gone, they're just gone. They don't keep producing them.
And they also have exclusives for the actual Funko stores. So check monitor the websites, because last month's exclusives were Squid Game. It was all the Squid Game players and guards. And you can only buy them at the store, at the Funko store, and you can only buy 2 of them. Like they expressly limit how many of them. The limited ones that they had this time were Carnage from the Venom movie. They had a birthday Freddy. Freddy Funko is like the mascot guy. He was the original Funko Pop. Every year they put out like different ones of that character, Freddy Funko. So yeah, Mike, if you're ever looking, just keep an eye on the Funko Hollywood website, and if there's ever an exclusive that you want, just let me know. I'll grab it for you. Same thing for you, Derek.
Nice.
And why not? Same thing for the listeners. If you're still listening, if you still haven't turned this off out of boredom, I'll get you a pop too.
I'll get you.
Yeah, my kids just got me the Treehouse of Horror Bart zombie for Father's Day.
Very nice. So. I just picked up Vampire Burns. It cost me like $80. It's pricey, but it's worth it. I love that Vampire Burns, and that was one that sold out right away.
Hell yeah! And if you can get like a complete set of like a Treehouse of Horror, it's going to be bucks in the future. Yeah,
the original 2 or 3 Treehouse of Horror series on Pops are all worth a lot of money, because it's like Homer, Kong, Vampire Burns. What do you call it? Willie as Freddy Krueger, a Willie Krueger, I guess.
Yeah, those are the 2 I have. Homer, King Kong, and Willie Freddy.
Yeah, Willie Freddy's worth money.
From the original ones, I mean.
Yeah, Willie Freddy's worth money. because that's one that I can't. Because that's one that I'm trying to get. Because I have one, but it's not in the box. Because there was a time when I bought these when they first came out that I was actually opening them and like displaying them, and then I realized, oh shit, these things go up in value. I think I'll stop opening them. Are we actually recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't even close out the show.
It's our final segment. Hey, a lot of people collect Funko Pops, so maybe there will always be more room in hell for Funko Pops.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Any collectors out there looking to like trade, hit me up.
We're creating a new segment right now called Funko What?
Funko What?
Yeah. Funko updates.
There you go.
What
Next
the
episode, I'll give my Funko update. I could probably take 10 minutes every episode just going over the Funkos I've bought since the last episode.
That's going to be the Funko What?
That's how much of a problem I have. And luckily, my wife doesn't hate me for it, so that's good. In fact, she has like a couple of dozen herself, so.
Nice.
All right. Well, this will be our final false warning of ending the episode. So thank you everyone for listening.
Don't kid yourself. No one's still here.
Hey,
from cheeseburgers.
If any listeners collect Funko Pops, post some of the pictures of your favorite ones, or most I guess out of rotation ones, limited ones. We're all interested. They're cool. They're cheap. They were cheap.
They're cheap when I buy them. They're not cheap when I sell them.
All right. Catch you next time.
All right. Adios.
Bye.